So it's just the three of you, and I'll do a little recap, probably pretty short, and then we'll see what happens during this kind of segment. The last session started with the company waking up after they slept overnight in a tunnel that led out from underneath Thistle Hold. And they were tracking Degoi, who had jumped down into the hole that Thistle Hold that was created and collapse of Thistle Hold. And after they fought these malformed humans, which the group eventually figures out is the remnants of a barbarian tribe that was thought destroyed when Ambrians took over the ground that Thistle Hold was built upon. They were tracking Degoi because Degoi, during that fight at the hole, jumped down in there to chase this winged creature because he's a Queen's man and he follows him out. So the company jumped down in the hole after him and travel through that area briefly because they're trying to track Degoi down, following his tracks, and the tracks that looks like of whatever inhabited that area was exiting during this long tunnel that came into Davakar. They decided once they were there in the evening that they would just rest, like wait for morning, and then resume the hunt for Degoi. In the morning, they woke up and they start traveling and tracking along the track, which is pretty easy to follow. And they met Helame along the way and the Goblin Knot. They decided to continue to track Degoi and eventually were attacked by rear guards of that barbarian group, which they fought in the forest of Davakar. After which they found the empty campsite of the fleeing barbarians, and Helame communed with the dormant fire, one of the dormant campfires, and learned about who these barbarians were and that they had followed their princess Helianor into the depths after their barbarian clan was destroyed by Ambrians and thought lost. But Helianor, the princess, took the last remnants of her people down into the depths underneath Davakar, and they have been living there since for decades, and that their witches have transformed some of their people, transformed them by maltransformation to survive, it seems. Helame may consider or even revenge or vengeance on Ambrians. Helianor, before Degoi dies, indicates that had asked Degoi why the Ambrians had created the hole, why they attacked her people again, why are they still hunting them down, as if to indicate that the hole that was created in Thistle Hold was not of their making. They were, in a sense, defending themselves as they exited the hole and attacked the citizens of Thistle Hold and dragged them down. And then Helianor sees the death of Degoi, sees him hanging up in the trees, and comes awake. Degoi is cut down, and the company travel back towards Thistle Hold. They make a small detour where they talk to the two witches who are trying to gain entrance into Thistle Hold because they felt a great evil within there. And the group learns of the witches being tasked by the elves to recover a portion of a forest spirit called Eox, which a Thistle Hold treasure group seems to have taken into the city. in which they believe may be related to that evil that occurred. The company leave the witches without really agreeing to talk on their behalf to get them in the city. And then they enter by the north gate. At the north gate, they're greeted by the guards, and they're not allowed in the city until Bo and Lair May let the guards know who they are, and they recognize them. And word is sent to Captain Marvello, and the company is let within the city and told to attend to Captain Marvello at the barracks. And that's where we ended the last session. Anyone have any questions about that or additions?
Not I.
Right. It's been a little while, so.
It has.
It is winter, early winter. It's a light snow as you walk through the Thistle Hold in the middle of the night coming through the north gate. The city is in absolute disarray. Guards run here and there back from the north gate, down Republic Coroner's Way, throughout the city. You see, or they move quickly in groups. You see that there's people sleeping in the streets, and there's actually open fires in the street at Thistle Hold, which is exceedingly rare as you come into Toad Square. Toad Square is right here. I can't go here. Toad Square is right here. And you're coming down through Toad Square past the beacon. So the beacon's on your left as you come down through the north gate into Toad Square. You can see the light of the beacon above you and kind of illuminating that area around Toad Square. Toad Square is just absolute chaos. There's people sleeping. There's people sleeping by the big monument of this toad that not many people know what it is. You can see people around fires trying to keep warm. Harsh words, drunkenness, open fighting, and even thievery as you're walking through Toad Square to get to the barracks, which is on the far south of the Thistle Hold, which is about right here. As you walk through, and it's really a breakdown of order. Bo, who's been a guardsman, and the others who have been to Thistle Hold would recognize that, Thistle Hold looks like, it's broken down. People sleeping everywhere, and order has suffered after the event, and the shaft that was created in the center. You probably skirt that shaft that hole as you walk south through Toad Square. You have to take a detour around it through some small areas, and there's just people everywhere. And then you can continue down the promenade, and Antique Plaza looks the same. It may be a little bit more sedate than Toad Square, but it's still chaos. And march into the richer districts. As you come south, probably at this corner here, there's probably a guardsman posted on each corner of these small streets as you come and look down there, which is pretty uncommon. Thistle Hold usually doesn't have that much lawlessness where they have to post guards on the more upscale areas of the southern part of the city. And you kind of come to the barracks, which is right here in the far south. As you're walking down there, does anyone do anything specific?
No, I don't think so.
No. So you come through the barracks. Now, Bo is lived in the barracks, really. Once he got a free room, besides being the richest member of the party, he used that barracks room completely. And Captain Marvello has allowed him to do so. He's no longer really a guardsman. He doesn't pull duty unless he does side jobs. Does Bo like periodically take guard watch at the
I think he would probably volunteer to do.
just to waste time, like he gets bored and
Yeah.
yeah. And so Captain Marvello and the guardsmen know Bo pretty well. He occasionally does jobs and does gate duty or picks up some duty when guards are sick or, they attend to family. He may ever be up on the ramparts now and then. So Bo's fairly well known. He never really gave up his honorary guardsman status. And Captain Marvello, he knows, is a fairly impeccable person as a man. He leads by example. Bo would also know that he's definitely a Queensman. He probably knows that from Degoi in some way or passing, because Degoi knew Marvello too as a Queensman. But Marvello leads by example. And so as you enter his office, Bo, Laris, and Helame, Laris and Helame, he hasn't really met, but he's sitting there behind his desk, Bo, and he's still dressed impeccably. His armor is well kept. The straps on it are well oiled. His sword is like leaning up against his desk. Like he looks the epitome of a guard captain should look if you wanted to look up someone. But Bo, you look at his face and he is just exhausted. Like you can see it in his eyes that Captain Marvello is exhausted. Laris and Helame, you would just think that look just looks stern. Like he's looking at you with a bit of anger, like a captain of the guard would. But Bo can tell that there's fatigue in Captain Marvello's eyes that he hasn't seen before. As Bo enters, he just snaps it out at you, Bo, and a bit of force. And how is it you jumped into the pit and then you returned by the north gate? Speak the truth, or despite the fact that half the men like you, I will side with the other half and throw you in a cell.
We went searching for another Queensman like yourself, Degoi. Do you remember him?
I do not see them among you.
He is unfortunately no longer with us.
Yeah, he just kind of looks at you and sighs a bit, looks at the desk. You mean to tell me that you went down and somehow made it out past the walls of Thistle Hold outside?
We did.
The hole leads to the exterior of the city.
It does eventually.
So he looks at Laris and Helame.
I would introduce them.
Sure.
Now.
Laris, he kind of looks at you and, is this true? Blacksmith. You look like a blacksmith, obviously, but... Laris, you agree with Bo?
Sorry, I was muted. My bad.
Okay.
It's true, mostly.
Sure, he kind of puts his hand on his head and says, well, it is late. The mayor will have to hear this in the morning, but you should get your rest. Bo, your bunk is ready, as usual. Are you staying in the barracks again?
I am, but we have additional guests.
Sure. He looks at Laris and Helame. Laris, you mean Laris and Helame, I imagine, Bo?
Yeah.
Laris, you work for a smithy that's trying to make a name for themselves over, more than the ogre. Would you take up Bo and Captain Marvello's offer to sleep at the barracks, or would you return to your smithy.
I'll say, oh, thanks for the offer, guys, but, I'd rather sleep at my shop because then I can get some work done between now and whatever you guys have going on next. If you, want additional help, and I'll give them directions for where the shop is, you can find me there. Unless you guys plan on getting started first thing in the morning, then I guess I can bunk here as well as anywhere else.
Well, you don't get the sense that Captain Marvello needs you in the morning. He is just going to report to the Mayor Nightpitch. And it is too late at night to be tromping around with this news at the moment. It's really late. It's dark.
Well, still, I'll then say, well, you guys want me to meet you somewhere in the morning, or do you want to meet, come to stop by the shop early in the morning? I mean, I don't know what your plans are, but,
Okay. Now, Hella May, you were in a house that collapsed during the event. The question is, was this a family house, or are you was this a house for disaffected third, fourth, fifth sons and daughters of royalty or lords that really didn't have a place?
Oh, this was definitely a family house. And in fact, once they're all done talking their official crap, Hella May, just before they're trying to figure out who's sleeping where, she probably burst out and be like, Captain, do you have a list of those who haven't made it? Have you seen my family? Know of are they alive?
He kind of looks at you and he's about ready to spit something out, but you see him clamp down on his teeth a little bit, and his lips get a little bit thin. And he says, Ma'am, what is your family name?
That is a good question. I don't even know what to...
Right, so you could you could figure it out, but let's say you tell him whatever your family name is.
Right.
It's only been less than a day. You traveled out and back. And so he puts his hand on his head. He lays down. He goes, daughter of whatever the last name is. I apologize. I do not have a listing of all those who are dead. There has been many, and I have no information on your family at all, but I will endeavor to discover if any of your relatives are surviving. If you wish to look for them, they may be in one of the parks, as many refugees are camped out by the missionary of Sarvallo, or in the Ark of the Elders, which is a park, this kind of triangular park here in the edge. Some of them are in the light yard of the Church of Prios, but many have been unhomed by this event. I expect your family, given their nobility, would be in one of those three places. Perhaps the light yard or the Ark of Elders, more likely, unless they would feel comfortable at Sarvallo's missionary. I don't expect they are sleeping in the streets. He probably asked you what street your house was on.
Well, it had to be somewhere near the hole, right?
Right. He wouldn't answer right away, Helame. He would just kind of look at you, and his eyes might soften a little bit, and you kind of see his face, and he sighs and he says, Helame, that street is completely gone and has fallen into the hole. None of that street remains. Did your family have a house elsewhere in Thistle Hold where they may have gone to?
No, I don't think so. And while contemplating that, she probably, you know, I don't think she's too dismayed about the family home, but the family being gone is probably a little bit more important. But also, Captain, what the hell are you gonna do about these murderous thugs that are just sitting outside, unprosecuted?
Which ones are you talking about, Helen? Are you talking about the citizens, or are you talking about the things that crawled out of the hole?
The things that crawled out of the hole.
He kind of.
I'm sure I've told him what happened in the flame.
Oh yeah, I would think so. How would Helen May put that? Because what she saw was Helenor as a girl probably her age, or a woman her age, a young woman her age, secreting what was left of her people after they were destroyed by the Ambrians down a crack in the rock, and then their people becoming what they were after they were hunted and destroyed by the Ambrian people. How would she swing that? What would be her angle? Like how would she view that vision of Heleonor's change from this young woman to this winged dark creature?
I'm not even sure if I would put that in the thing. I would mostly report like the latest happenings, like how big the military, how big their army was, what happened to Degoi, talk about the creature just a little bit, like give it a name,
Sure.
Right? And then whatever the creature said was going on, what does that look as far as the fire could tell me? Because it sees them all leaving, eventually.
Right. He kind of holds up his hands because I think you're beating him down, right?
Oh yeah, there's a fiery, sermon going on.
But he has to deal with nobles as it is, and right now Bo can tell like he's straining just to keep things together, and he kind of holds up his hands and says, Miss Helen May, the mayor is meeting with the representatives of the cities, and an expedition will be shortly going down into the hole, and we'll deal with this trouble, I assure you. And if need be, they will track them down in the Davakar itself. If you wish to look for your family in one of the parks or the light yard of Prios, I will have a guard accompany you throughout the night, or you could rest here. The barracks is a safe place for anyone.
I'll thank the captain. As much as I'd like to rest, I think finding the rest of my family,
Okay.
if they're still alive.
So Laris goes back to the smithy. Bo beds down in his barrack spot, which is, his bunk in the main barracks room. And Ella May goes looking for her family at the Ark of the Elders, which is a park here in this kind of triangle, and maybe the light yard, which is the church. Where do you think they would go? Are they Prios adherents? Are they more unattached to the church?
I think, like most nobles, they're probably like lightly attached to Prios. Like it's the thing to be, of the cult of Prios, but not actually, fervent believers.
Yeah, and the only other place they would maybe go is the Lord's house, which is kind of not Congress, but it's where the Lords meet in Thistle Hold. That was called the town seat, which is right off Antiques Plaza.
Yeah, so I'd probably look, at the plazas.
Okay.
And like the Ark of the Elder, like you were talking about, or that one that's off of the promenade, the Green Park.
Yeah, the small one. It's all going to be packed. Okay.
No.
Let me see if she finds him. I'm going to ask first. No. So you search pretty much all night, Helame. Do you just go street by street by street when you can't find him until you're exhausted and have to find a place to rest?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so I see, Helame, you go to the Ark of Elders, and it's just, people are sleeping everywhere. There's some of Sarvalo's missionaries trying to help people settle down, giving them blankets because it's winter, making sure the fires are going. They set up a sort of soup kitchen. You go by the missionary itself, and there's people laid out in the street, all up and down the street where the missionary is, which is roughly here, like from this corner to this corner is just packed with people. And that's where the missionary is, roughly about here. And you go to Antiques Plaza, even Toad's Plaza, despite the fact that it's much more dangerous. A guardsman just kind of is behind you in a shadow, your shadow the whole way. And after a while, he probably keeps asking you if you should rest. You should rest, ma'am, you should rest. And perhaps you will find him in the morning. And he keeps, at you. You even go to the town seat, which is where the mayor night pitch holds court sometimes, which is right here off Antique Square. And that's probably where you end. You look everywhere and you probably end here, which is the town seat. The town seat is where the lords meet, where Night Pitch kind of holds court when he needs to. It handles the daily business. It's where the normal, the administration for the city is, and the really where the houses the Hall of Knights, and where is a resting place for nobles visiting the hold from outside Thistle Hold. And you find a bunk probably on the floor, on the first floor of the town seat, because some richer people with means have found that to be a much safer place in the morning. Bo, are you a sleep in or early riser? You're muted, by the way.
I would be up early.
Get up early. Yeah, you get up early. You probably are interrupted throughout the night of guards changing in. Like, there's no gaming, there's no dicing, there's no, banter going on. It's a pretty
Active.
Yeah. And Captain Marvello, he wakes up even earlier. He tends to run. He tends to take a run around the compound, and you are just about to wake your normal time. That's early, but Captain Marvello has beaten you to it, and he's kicking your bed in the morning. Wake up. Garson Bo. Wake up.
Captain?
He's standing there, like, even though it's in a loose shirt that's sweaty because he's been running, but he still has strapped like a small dagger to one side. But aside from that, he's not wearing his armor. And he kind of looks at you, and I've discussed what you've told me with the mayor. And you and yours have been summoned to meet with him and the representative of the city on tomorrow morning. Make sure that they're aware and they're not late, but I imagine that they will get their own messages about, being summoned before the mayor and the representatives to decide as they plan what to do next.
Tomorrow at first light.
Tomorrow at first light. You
Okay.
have one day of rest. Maybe you get your stories in place. What do you have planned for today?
If they were stories, I would have to, but they're not.
Well, that lordling, LMA, you might want to perhaps calm her down a bit. Some of the representatives are a little bit fired up, and we need to keep things even. If you understand what I'm saying.
I believe I do.
Make sure you're on time. First light tomorrow morning. What are your plans for today?
Probably rest.
Well,
I would imagine the mayor's business will not be an easy task.
no, and I don't expect the mayor will want to see you before then. Appearances being appearances, but I leave that up to you. If you're looking for work, there's plenty to do. We're stretched thin. There's much lawlessness in the city at the moment. Be careful. And he just kind of...
If you need, I can pull a shift.
Okay. He looks at you and says, the Toad Square has been troublesome, Bo. There is much lawlessness in that part of the city. If you're looking for vigor, then you could surely volunteer at the Toad Square. If you're looking for something easier than the East or West Gate, keeping people at bay is probably better.
I'll head to the Toad Square.
Okay. Helen May, what's your connection with the Ordo? Are you attached, or are you more of a outside magician that hasn't declared for the Ordo itself?
So I think I'm probably like newly, if there's a school like magicians go to, I'm probably like newly graduated from that and haven't fully been inducted into it. I think, kind of like an assistant or something.
Right, but you're not like freewheeling. Your name is
I'm not.
Your name is in the record book.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm like, or whatever you want to call it, ordained or something, but
right.
I'm not like Master Emilio.
You haven't been kicked
somewhere
out. You didn't, were relieved of your duties. You're not,
You're
one of those.
in good standing, but you're just not
right.
very high in standing.
Okay.
Right.
Laris, I assume the same is true for you, right?
Oh, my character is definitely in good standing. He's kind of low man on the totem pole because he, again, spends way more time doing things that aren't technically wizardry. And though he might have a reputation for being moderately informed lore master, he's not like significant even in that. So, though, like, he's definitely a novice in the order, but he has graduated.
Okay.
And they, some of the people maybe understand that he's, does his other things, and maybe they even let him. Well, I'm sure some people in the Ordo have seen Ferris, noticed the armor is, fairly well made, and figured, if we don't bother this guy, maybe we want to make something, maybe he'll make it for us. Which, could happen, I guess.
So what I think happens is that both of you, well, Laris may rise early. It just depends.
He usually does.
Helene is wiped out. But Laris, you're in the smithy. Perhaps you're just getting the fires going, or, they're dormant yet. You haven't necessarily started work. It's the first few hours in the morning, and you get a messenger that comes to you, small boy, and he holds out the message with one hand and an open palm with the other hand, which is, common.
Right.
From the Ordo, Smithy.
I look at the note, I give it a scance, and then I give the boy a shilling.
Right. The note just says that you must present yourself to the Ordo, and you are expected at 10 in the morning.
I just shake my head. Like, the nerve of these people summoning me.
Right. It's like, official stamp. It has a wax seal of one of the masters that you don't recognize at the moment. The wax itself is just bright red, right? Bright red with a little bit of swirl of black in it. You have no idea whose signet that is or whose stamp that is, but it's has the Ordo signature at the bottom. But that's all it says. Doesn't really tell you. You're not aware of who that wax seal
I'm half
is.
tempted to start leveling up wizardry just to tell these people, leave me the F alone.
Helame, the same thing happens, but I expect you're asleep. You're exhausted. You've been looking for your family all night and haven't found it. You're in the town seat, and even some of the administrators leave you sleep like in this small area while they're picking up everyone else and clearing out the beds for the day and setting up tables for perhaps soup and free food. And you're shaken awake. Ma'am, wake up. Wake up. I have a message for you from Ordo. Wake up.
5 more minutes.
No, the Ordo needs you. Wake up. Mistress.
Oh, by all that is holy, what do you want?
Yeah, it's probably like 9:50 too. It's probably like 10 minutes before you're supposed to be
Oh,
there.
it's way too early. A lady doesn't get up before 10.
And she like hands you a note from the Ordo, and this small boy just like shoves it in your hand. The Ordo, mistress, the Ordo. He's been waiting there for a while. Like he wasn't certain what to do around all these lords, and he just sat on this wooden stool for like an hour while you sat there and slept. I'm not certain if you snore or make small noises, but he just waited and waited and waited, and finally he was like, "This one's free. No need to pay me." But I looked at it. I know I'm not supposed to, and you can kind of see that the wax seal, which is also bright red and who you don't recognize, has been opened a little bit so he could peek inside, and he realized that as he got closer and closer to 10 in the morning that he better darn wake you up or he's going to get in trouble somehow. And he like forces the letter into your hand. The message says the same thing that Laris's did. You are expected at the Ordo at 10 a.m. What does Helame do?
10 a.m. Okay. She'll probably get up, like look around, and just kind of check the immediate area to see if there's anybody new. Maybe they have came in at the night, passed out. Basically.
You look around trying to find family members, and you make a scan of the tables that they're setting up with bread and food that some of the missionaries from Sarvallo have brought over. But you don't see any of your family in the town seat at all.
So I guess she, kind of like gets up, dusts herself off a little bit, smooth out her hair that's probably, matted and sweaty, and make her way to the tower.
Now, is Helame's family, how well-to-do is Helame's family?
I imagine they're probably still low on the noble totem pole, but not like at the bottom of the food chain. Somewhat like low middle class, I guess.
But enough for her to inherit if everyone was dead.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sure. So you go to the Ordo Magician Tower. which is, look at the right here, in kind of the richer area of the map. Since Laris has stepped out for just a second, let me drop over to Bo. Bo, you're walking towards the Toad Square, where it's pretty rough. It's a rough area in Thistle Hold anyways. You're well aware that a lot of the thieving and murdering, it's a really bad place to be found in the dark at night around Halibin's Ring. And you're taking a detour because you have to make it there up Oliada's Road, which is right here, and then up this way, Harvest Street. And as you're kind of entering Harvest Street, a messenger comes up to you and looks up to you and says, Are you the guard, Captain Bo? Guardsman. Well, you don't look like a captain, but guardsman.
Well, I'm your captain.
You laugh just like that too when you say that. My tongue's gonna get me in more trouble. Anyways, how much coin do you have on you? And he like has this message, and like it's a feather.
Oh, I go into my pocket.
He looks you up and down, like he looks at your shoes, he looks at your thing, he goes, many guardsmen are wearing nice supple leather like that, and that's a very nice belt.
I open my palm with 5 shillings.
Or he like takes them right out and goes, Here you go, Captain, my captain. Disappears, in a blink. The message has the black seal of the Queen on it, and your presence has been requested at the Queen's Legate, which is the Queen's presence in Thistle Hold, who you would know as a noble is manned by Surya Argona and a couple notaries. It's a place you go to get information. It's where Degoi went to try to get information, but didn't really find anything about the Winter's wife. And you can pay for them to look through their archives. They actually pay any traveler, play any traveler for stories, or any hunter for stories. So they keep records of what's going on, especially in Thistle Hold or Davokar for the Queen. There's occasionally they put, certain people up in guest houses throughout Davokar. You probably know that Degoi was a Queen's man, and he visited the Queen's Legate before, but it definitely says, your name on it. We request your presence at the Queen's Legate under the Queen's command.
Does it give a time, or just says in all haste, or?
Yeah. Anytime you're summoned by the Queen or the Queen representative, it usually means now. They don't put like, oh, come see me at 3. It's come wait, see me, and that sort of thing. There's no time put on it.
Okay.
What does Bo do?
I think I would head over in that direction.
Okay. So you kind of do an about face,
Yep.
go down back, go through the Antique Plaza, maybe go south through, near the corner of where the barracks is, and go back up Autumn Street. The Queen's Legation is actually right across from the front gates of Nightholm, where the mayor is. You could probably, you stand the Queen's Legate office doors here, and the Nightholm's door to his house is there. As usual, there's 2 guardsmen standing there before the mayor's gate, both of which you recognize. They're guardsmen who are fairly supremely loyal to the mayor and Thistle Hold itself, and any guardsman guarding the mayor's gate to Night Home is probably very well thought of and
Right.
very good at what they do, or sparring. You may have sparred one or two of both of them, one of them, and they're very good with their weapons and swords, and they know their duties pretty well. What you do is you're standing between the gate to Night Home and the gate to the Queen's Legate.
Well, the actual her location is across the street. You said?
Yeah, it's across the street. It's right, like you're smack dab
Here.
between. Yeah, it's right there. That's the Queen's Legate right there in that corner, and
Okay.
it's literally like 10 paces from the Queen's Gate door to Night Home's front gate.
I would acknowledge them and throw them a salute, and then head across the street.
Okay. So you enter in the Queen's Legate, and a fairly officious administrator recognizes you immediately, and he says, this way. Mr. Sargona is waiting for you. And he brings you back through a hall, down a long hallway, which Degoi would recognize since he's been there, and past a single large wooden door. And you see a fairly young woman, very well dressed in the colors of the Queen, long dark hair, pale green eyes, and a small kind of upturned nose. She's sitting in a chair, and then in a corner, leaning up a corner, is Captain Decamato, whom you know is one of the other captains of the guard with Captain Marvello. I would have you roll, for very particular reasons, since you are a noble.
But he's not as well known, I guess.
Well, there's 3 captains of the
Yeah.
guard. Decamato is well known. There's just something pretty specific about him that.
Do you want me to roll?
But yeah, I would roll cunning at advantage, given that you're nobility, to see if you actually know who he is.
Advantage is not. It's not favor, right?
Yeah, it's +2. So you do. So, for whatever reason, Bo knows that Captain Decamato, that's not his full name or perhaps real name. He's actually a cousin of the Queen, whose real name is Arkham Coronor. He shares blood with Queen Coronor, and he's of the Coronor family, or the Queen's family. He's just like
Right.
a second or third cousin. You recognize him. Perhaps you hadn't come in contact with Captain Decamato. You just heard his name, but because your largest contact is with Captain Marvello, and you're kind of entwined with his guardsmen, you didn't really have much interaction with the other captains. And when you see him, immediately his name comes to your head. And before you can say anything, Surya Argano says, Guardsman Bo, we have heard a lot about you. This is Captain Decamato, which I'm certain you know of.
Well, we've seen each other in passing.
I have heard we have lost a Queensman. Can you tell me what happened to the Degoi?
He was unfortunately annihilated by those creatures in the hole. Those.
So the Queen is without her man, then?
I'm sure you have more.
Yes, well, things are moving at a pace that is quickly. Perhaps you would consider being that man.
Well, what assistance do you need from me?
Well, we have reason to believe that 2 Templars came into Thistle Hold, or a group of Templars, 3 of them. I'm not certain if you know them, the McKelly brothers, and we have reason to believe they brought a copper tablet into Thistle Hold, and that evil has created the hole that swallowed part of the city and maimed and killed many, and is part of the process of those barbarians or those things that came out of the hole. Would you perhaps retrieve that copper tablet for us?
Do you think the tablet may be in the hole, or do you think it might be elsewhere?
Oh no, the Templars have it. They are at the Winged Ladle, but one of their brothers died during the fighting after the event, and they will be at a midnight service for them in the light yard of the church. They will leave their room probably at 9 at the dark and be there into the dark hours. Perhaps you could meander your group to the Winged Ladle and enter their rooms and retrieve the copper tablet for us. There'll be a handsome reward, and you will be the queen will be indebted to you, or I will, her servant. Do we have an agreement then, Queensman Bow?
We do, but I'm not in need of money. Maybe there's something else that could please me.
She kind of smiles. It's like a little smile whenever someone talks about favors to a lord. And she just shakes her head as she acknowledges, the play. No money is needed, but favors are better, which she truly understands, given that she's of House Argona and the Queen's not spy, but she is the Queen's lord in Thistle Hold itself. And She just nods to you. She looks at Captain Marvello, and he kind of looks at you for a minute and looks at her and shrugs and nods too. And she goes, "Very well then. It should be done this night though, and you can bring the copper tablet to Captain Decamato when you have retrieved it."
Here?
No, not here. Good man. Captain Decamato will be in the Queen's Square, perhaps at 3 a.m. or so. Yeah, before light rises, he will meet you there.
Okay.
Okay.
Very well.
And you leave the Queen's Legate. She tells you where their rooms are. It's really room number 3 at the Winged Ladle, which is one of the higher end hotels or hostels in Thistle Hold. It was actually Mayor Nypitch's house before Thistle Hold was built, in this big giant tree. That's the only tree that's left standing in this area. He built his house up in that tree while Thistle Hold proper was being built and the walls were being built. And once he built Night Home, that house became the Winged Ladle. So Laris and Helame, you go to the Ordo Tower. That's about here on the map, if you can see it. You
Ping
go
it again, Gene.
Huh?
Ping it again, Gene.
It's south of the Queen Square.
Okay.
I guess I should change my color a little bit. There's something brighter.
Maybe red.
It's right about here. See it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Laris and Helame, you probably arrive in the courtyard of Ordo about the same time. Laris, are you early? You muted?
Yeah, I was. So before I leave the shop, I will have spent some time oiling my fancy armor of the Panzers and buffing it and making sure it looks nice and pretty, because it is so not what most of the mage are going to
Oh, yeah,
expect,
yeah.
which makes me laugh. So I get it all on. I get, all my, good gear geared up and looking pretty. And then Ferris and I head over to the Ordo. We're probably going to get there early.
Yeah, so you're not wearing your like armor.
I'm not
or
wearing an
apron,
Ordo robe.
Yeah, you don't
I'm
have a
not
robe.
wearing my leather apron.
Don't
I'm
have a
wearing
hat.
my full suit of frickin' field armor.
That's great. As you walk into the courtyard, Helame, how do you arrive? Like you're waking up last minute, your hair's in disarray, you're dirty and wet and still from coming in from Davokar the night before and then trying to find your family all night. What does Helame look like as she tries to make it to the Ordo? Or does she try to make it to the Ordo?
I mean, I make my way there. I'm not in a rush.
Okay.
And I, like you just described, I'm like disheveled, I look like hell. And I I'm pretty sure people probably avoid me as I'm walking with a purpose of a madwoman.
Right. I see you like stomping through there, Helame. Your hair is like everywhere. It's tangled. You look dirty. You're maybe misbuttoned or askew, and
I'm even sure somebody like wants to be like, greetive, like hello. They look at you with the start to say hello and they stop mid sentence and be like, yeah, let me not say nothing.
yeah, like you're walking through some chaotic streets even in the morning. And there's people sleeping in the streets, but no one, you can tell there's pickpockets and thievery and lawlessness that has started to take over Thistle Hold as the guard is occupied elsewhere. And, but no one's messing with you just because you probably have that look in your face, stomping through, going towards the Ordo Tower. And you stomp into the front yard of the Ordo Tower, and you see Lair standing there, full kit, mailed up, looking perfect, giant of a man. Doesn't look like an Ordo magician at all because he's wearing, a full kit of armor. What does Helame do as she recognizes Lair's waiting?
She probably like gives a curt nod as she like continues on past him.
That's it.
I mean, that's about as much as you get at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Plus, I mean, he's an armorer. I mean, she's noble. And okay, so you go up to the front, Helame, and Lair sees you, and you nod at him, but it's pretty curtain. There's a very old goblin at the front, and he just looks at you and he goes, "We want no vagrants here. If you need food and lodging, you should go to the Ark of the Elders or perhaps the missionary that..."
I walk right by him.
He like whistles with his teeth. He puts like 2 fingers in his mouth. You hear this shrill whistle behind you, and 2 mailed guards come out from the front door. They're probably standing there anyways as you bluster by him, and they both grab you. One grabs one arm and one grabs the other, and almost lifts you up off your feet, Helame. And they start to march you like past them, and you hear this old goblin say, "Just throw her out in the street."
I'll, kind of like give that, that woman shrug, like the slap of the hands kind of thing. And says, "Servant goblin, how dare you have these thugs touch me? I've been summoned here and I will not be stopped. And if I need to, I'll give a little show of fire, even if it's just from the eyes."
A little bit of smoke rises. Your feet are probably maybe 12 inches, 10 inches off the ground. I don't know what that is in centimeters, 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters off the ground. But I don't think you're like kicking. You're like just standing there straight, still in position. And
2.54 centimeters per inch, by the way.
right, 4 to 5 centimeters per inch. 1.54.
2.54.
That's what I thought. 1.54. So that was pretty close.
No, 2.54.
Oh, 2. No, I wasn't
centimeters
close
per
then.
inch.
So it's 20 centimeters or so. He holds up a hand and he goes, and how do I know this is true? He sees that little bit of smoke and then he looks at him and goes, put her down for now. Put her down. And the guard's like, put you back on your feet and let go of your arm and take one step away. What is your name? Miss
Helame. Helame. I kind of want to give like a French name, but I can't think of anything off my top of my head.
He just rolls off your tongue and he looks at you and goes, yes, mistress, you have your summons. My apologies.
She'll hand him the little summons piece of paper.
Takes
It's
it
probably
out
crumpled up.
and he puts his hand over to seal. Like he looks at it really close and, yes, authentic, you friend. I am greatly sorry, ma'am. And he kind of bows to you a little bit, just a small little bow. The master, you friend, would like to see you. If you would enter the alcove, one of the initiates will show you your way.
She gets one of those, and turns and goes to the alcove.
Yeah. Laris is probably standing close by. You see the goblin who's really old, and actually he's been the front doorman for the Ordo for, probably 10, 15 years. You just see him roll his eyes a little bit, shake his head. What does Laris do?
I kind of do nothing. Like, I figure if this girl wants to have a row with guards and goblin, who am I to stop it?
Right.
And then, I just basically walk on by.
Yeah,
with Ferris in tow.
Yeah, the guardsman, the front door.
Oh, Ferris is there?
Yeah, Ferris is there.
Oh, I got to go talk to Ferris.
Yeah. Laris, you and Ferris just breeze right by the goblin. He kind of looks at you and goes, I don't know if it would be initiate or adept Laris. You are welcome. Master, your friend is waiting for you. Like he recognizes you. He kind of looks you up and down in your armor, but it doesn't necessarily phase him as much as it might phase some of the other Ordo.
I give him a polite nod of the head and say, thank you, sir. And then I just keep on walking by.
So you're in the alcove. Helame and Laris and Ferris. Helame, you kind of look behind you and there's Laris and his flaming servant. What do you do when you see the flaming servant?
Oh, I in girlish glee go up to the Ferris and I'm just kind of like looking into its flames. And all worries drift away in its burning eyes.
Well, a initiate takes you down the hall, through a door, down a couple other halls, right, left, and you come to a fairly ornate office, like on one of the corners, and you realize it takes up probably the whole corner of that basement, that first floor. And he knocks, and you hear the word "come," and he opens the door, and immediately when he opens the door, this fragrant smoke comes out in little wisps, and you can smell it immediately. It smells like partly burned plant and partly frankincense or incense, but it's a mixture of tobacco and something else you can't really take out. And you see Master Euphrinda. I'll show you a picture of her. She's sitting on this kind of velvety couch. Think old Victorian couch. Whoops. And she's holding a pipe. She's got a black hair kind of up in a bun. Here's what she looks like. and she has this kind of long, ornate pipe, and you both know her as Master Euphrinda. And she's got her pipe in her hand, and she goes, Adept Laris and Helime, welcome back to the city. How has your travels
Hello,
been?
ma'am.
She takes a puff and blows smoke rings.
Adventurous. A little adventurous.
Yes, I've heard that's adventurous. Perhaps you tell me what you did in and out of, that dark place. How did you make it outside of Thistle Hold? What did you see down there? Much may be of interest to the Ordo. She takes a big puff of her pipe.
Well, perhaps if the Ordo was more than just people smoking pipes in their office, this great tragedy could have been prevented.
She kind of laughs.
I just kind of glare at her, Master.
She looks at you and says, Adept Helime, it would be very easy to become an initiate again. But you could, perhaps, rise up in the ranks, if that is your wish. You too, Laris. The Ordo is generous to those who are Ordo. Are you too Ordo?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think Helime would respond, just kind of seethe a little bit.
She's seething. She looks at you, Helime, and says, how is your family, Adept Helime?
Still missing, Master.
Well, I might be able to help out with that. If you perhaps have something on you of them. Did your mother make that gown? She kind of looks you up and down. You look in disarray. Or maybe that twig in your hair.
She'll probably pluck out the twig and be like, no, I don't think she made this twig. The clothes, for sure. Or maybe she bought. Who knows?
All right, Master Euphrinda looks at you and says, you will shortly be invited to a meeting with the mayor and various representatives, including the Ordo, to determine what needs to be done. And it will be contentious, I assume. What the Ordo has planned is eventually, perhaps we choose a non-aligned group to do the exploration of the below, what may be found. And your group seems to be fairly proficient. And in fact, there are 2 Ordo on that group. You understand what I'm saying, Adept Laris and Helime.
Except for the slight miscount. I suspect I know what you're saying.
What do you mean miscount?
You're forgetting Master Emilio.
Master Emilio, he is Master Emilio, and he is one of those masters that are more on the outside, the inside, and he has decided to go back to his city in Agrima. Or that's what I've heard. Master Emilio is no longer with the group.
He always seemed just a little flighty to me, but, it is what it is.
Yes. Odd pursuits for one so small. Do you have any questions for me, Adepts?
So, we're supposed to attend a meeting where the participants of this meeting are going to discuss what to do next, and you want us to volunteer our services. Is that what I'm getting?
No. What will happen is it would be contentious. I will say that the Ordo needs to go there, and someone else will say that the church needs to go there, and I'm sure the Queen's Legate will go and say the Queen's men will need to go there. But in the end, what will happen is, in order to forestall argument, we will decide that an unaligned group will need to go. and we will offer the job, or someone, certainly not me, because that would be playing my hand. We'll offer it to you. Neither Ordo or Templar or Church or Queen's
I
Legate.
see. Okay, so what is your personal agenda involving this whole situation? What do you
Just-
wish us to push or collect or gather while we're
Right.
on this job that we will be given?
So the Ordo, she says, if the Church of Prios gets their hands on whatever is down there, whatever this evil that we feel, and she looks at you and says, you feel it, do you not, when you're standing on the edge of that hole? The seeping evil from below must be of great artifact nature. If the Church gets it on it, they will put it behind bars beneath the Church of Prios and Thistle Hold, like they do humans and Ambrians who are blighted for study or worse. And the Ordo would rather have those artifacts if you could secure them for us. Secretly, I mean.
I'm uncertain as to what caused the corruption, but
What did you see when you were down there?
darkness mostly.
Right, you guys did like a beeline in and out following Degoi's track. So you saw some like other X's and stuff, but you didn't explore really much at all.
There were some tunnels. We mostly just followed the lead of an impetuous former colleague of some of the people I've been interacting with recently. And in the pursuit, we really didn't do much in the way of gathering intel. We did fight some creatures and saw further evidence of more creatures, but we didn't find a source of corruption or artifacts or anything that would constitute a study topic.
Right. I would imagine that your armory would like to procure the Ordo's contracts for special gear rather than giving it to big bashers. Takes a big draw on her pipe.
You'd have to ask the guy who owns the shop I work at. I just work there. I don't have a financial interest.
You're the one who would do the work, would you not, Adept Lairs?
I am one of the people who would do the work. It would depend on the speciality of the job requirements.
You're like,
If you wished for them to make a horseshoe, I wouldn't bother.
she
if you
rolls her
wish to
eyes a
make
little, rolls her eyes a little bit at you.
I know. I'm fucking with her a little bit, but
She
yeah.
rolls her eyes like, I need more weed. Helen May, do you say anything?
No, because I actually have no idea what they're talking about.
Right, because you weren't down there.
Right.
You just returned with them somehow. And you probably get a sense that Euphrinda doesn't know that you weren't down there either, for whatever reason. Like, she doesn't know. She knows that Bo and Lirame and Blairs went down there and that you guys came through the North Gate together. And so she assumes that you went down into the hole itself.
So I will tell you, Master, my colleagues are going to have their own goals in mind, and I'm not sure I will be able to persuade them off that. If we do find artifacts, I might not have the ability to secret them away.
Well, that's where persuasion and coin comes into play. Lairs,
It
Adept
might be,
Lairs.
but I'm simply telling you that my colleagues, may want to sell the artifacts. They may want to keep artifacts. I don't know. And of course, we're assuming that it's as simple as artifacts. I know there are some witches outside the city.
Yeah, she goes, tisk, do not worry. I mean, what would the Church of Prios offer them? Or even the Queen's Legate?
I'm simply
Prestige.
suggesting that
Ordo could offer them magic, gear, and special items which you know are valuable beyond measure. I'm sure they will come around with a little bit of help.
Perhaps.
Okay.
I'm just informing you that I do not have any particular sway over them. I've made my own arrangement with the group, and beyond that, I'm not sure I have the social currency to make another. I will instruct them that you have offered, you've expressed an interest in any, artifacts we may find there.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the master before she sets you free?
No.
Okay. Helame?
Nope. I think this is one of those times where Hella May does best to keep her mouth closed before inciting a burning building.
Yeah, I think Frenda would ask you once more if you have any articles of your family. Helame may figure that Frenda could search for them by other means than mundane, and that's why she's asking if you have any articles of your family on your person or, in your possession.
So I guess I'll tear off, a bit of dress and give it to her. 'Cause she doesn't have anything else on her.
Yeah, no crest or anything, nothing sewn on the inside of your lapel or something. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe your family seamstress made your dress or something, or
could be.
Okay. And you leave the Ordo. Did the group have a meeting time? When they left each other in the evening before they went to their other rest, and Helen May was searching for her family. Did you kind of set up a time where you might meet or where you might meet?
I'm sure we would have.
Okay. Say noon or something in Antique Plaza or Queen Square or at the barracks.
Probably Antique Plaza, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's say you meet there at noon, and Antique Plaza, like most places, Queen Square is a little bit more sedate, but Antique Plaza is just mayhem. There's cots and people sleeping anywhere. There's probably open fires, 3 or 4 per block around the edges. And both Sarvallo missionaries and Church of Prios are mingling, probably have food on either side. And you meet in Antique Square. Bo, what do you say about the meeting that's been requested of the group to them?
Well, I would flat out share.
Yeah,
everything.
That the group has been requested. Well, not requested. Essentially, ordered in a manner to meet with the mayor and representatives of the city at the town seat. Now, Bo, would you share what the Queen's Legate said to you?
I would tell these guys specifically about they were Templars, right?
Yeah, the McKelly brothers. So Bo would tell you that the Queen's Legate wanted you to essentially steal a copper tablet from these Templar brothers called the McKelly brothers, who lost one of their brothers during the fight standing next to Learmay at the rim of the hole.
Yeah, he was the guy who tried to pull out of combat and got, basically didn't do it fast enough.
Right. And so Laris would probably recognize him too. And the Queen's Legate wants you to steal this copper tablet because the Surya Argona tells Bo that this surely must be the source of evil that has caused this in the city. What does Helen May and Laris think about that plan or job?
So Helame was just trying to figure out why the hell would they want us to steal this copper tablet. What are we, mercenaries now? Is that what we're doing?
Well, she did offer money.
Okay.
Yeah, Bo, I see that going right over Helame's head. You're both noble. So, like, money, the hell does that mean? Surya Argona seem to imply that the source of the evil and the cause of the sinkhole in Thistle Hold is related to the evil of this tablet. That's what she
Theorizes, right?
right, implied to Bo to kind of get him to accept the job. Now, Bo, you could make a... See, what roll would that be? You could make a cunning roll at -2 to be able to tell if she's, how much of the truth is that? What does Bo think what does he think that when she's telling him that that's the source of evil and they need to recover it because the Templars are going to take it to Temple Well, and that the Templars themselves, Michele brothers, are not even known to the Sun Church in Thistle Hold. Father Jezebel doesn't even know they're here. They haven't even checked in. Oh, by 1. There's something up with that, Bo. Oh, did you roll? Surya Argona is not telling the whole truth. She definitely needs the tablet. The queen wants the tablet. And the idea that it's related to the evil seems a bit forced. It seems
Right. I'm not so sure about that part.
right. Not so sure about that part. You definitely know that Surya Argona really wants the copper tablet from these Templars, and she spun it in a way that it's related to the evil in Thistle because they snuck it in, and the Church of Prios doesn't even know that they're here, and their rooms are going to be empty. But you're not really sure exactly if it being the source of the sinkhole is
Right. Is
Reliable.
that tablet?
reliable.
Right.
What does Bo think about that? Does he give that information out, or does he kind of hold it back?
I would hold that back to kind of see what these guys decide to do.
Okay. So Laris and Helame, you think this is mercenary work, even though it's for the...
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Like Helame is very disinterested in working for these, lack of a better term, black nobles.
Well, the question is Helame's family as nobles or mid-level nobles, how in line are they with the Cornor family? Like, are they in the Cornor sphere of influence, or are they part of other noble families that think that the Cornor shouldn't be in charge? That may be a question for Helame as a noble too. Surely it may be mercenary work, and she may recognize that too once as soon as Bo says it. But Bo has also been asked to do it for the queen.
So, as a noble, we are for the queen. As far as the family goes, I don't believe we would probably support them.
So you would like
I think
support the brother or the, other cousins who should be on their throne.
Right. So I'm not sure how family lineage goes. Like if that family was out, what other family would be in? I think we would probably be somewhere in the neutral, right? Like I think my family's upbringing is more mercantile.
You're nobles by money.
Right. Not nobles by blood, I guess.
Okay.
But we are supportive of the queen, right? The queen's
Okay.
good.
I guess you.
But as far as the noble squabbling or the family squabbling, I don't think they would care too much. However, I would be very interested in exacting a bit of fiery revenge on the people who have caused this trouble.
Yeah, and if Bo tells you the McKelly brothers, the copper tablet is the source, that might get you revved up.
Right.
What about
without it? She's just very disinterested. She's like, I am not a mercenary. I don't care about that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Her eyes shift in color a bit when he says that it's related to the sinkhole.
Yep.
What does Laris think of that job offer or the Queen's need?
I look at Bo and I say, aren't those the brothers that helped us kill that big colossi from the pit? You know, the one that Darius and I fought most of the time in that fight on the corner and the edges of the pit, a sinkhole? I mean, that seems like kind of a, they seemed reasonable to me. I don't like going after people that fought bravely against a troubling foe with me. Also, I don't know if our group is really designed to do a snatch and grab. So, are we supposed to try to steal this item? And then what happens if we fail to steal it? Then what?
I guess she didn't go into those details because she thought we wouldn't fail.
Yeah, she told Bo that the brothers are going to be out of their room to do a midnight vigil for the brother they lost, and their room would be empty.
Okay, did you tell us about her claim that the tablet was what caused the sinkhole?
Yeah, I would have told you that.
So, these brothers caused a sinkhole and then went to the sinkhole to fight the mutated barbarian hordes that were swimming out from the sinkhole. That doesn't seem to make much sense to me.
Maybe they didn't know that the tablet had the power.
Does that track with what I know about artifacts?
Oh, yeah, sure. Like, Templars aren't magicians either. They're not.
No. I mean, the idea that a single artifact could cause a sinkhole in
city blocks.
Right, that it created enough corruption to create a sinkhole that actually, if you look at it, doesn't have a lot of evidence of corruption. Meaning,
well,
it makes a sinkhole, but everybody at the outskirts of that sinkhole none of them were turned into abominations except for the people who came out of the sinkhole, and they weren't really even abominations per se. Like, I would imagine that if a artifact had enough corruption that it could actually blow a hole in the floor of a city this big, that you'd see people turn into weirdo creatures, and like you'd feel massive pulses of corruption, not just a vague sense of it, if that.
So you have a few pieces of information that you would maybe consider and decide what adds up. Number one, even though Helame wasn't there, Alaris and Bo were when the witches came wanting entrance because they felt a great evil within the city. And they asked if the well had spoken. And then apparently the well spoke some evil. You don't understand what that means. What is the well? What that is. You don't have a sense.
So it's possible the artifact in question, or the tablet, or whatever they have, it is possible that it is a great source of corruption that caused the sinkhole, in theory.
Right.
Even though I would expect to see other symptoms of corruption that I didn't see, it's not to say that it couldn't have happened. It's just,
And you would know that the Templars, unless they bound themselves to the artifact or whatever it was, wouldn't show corruption in themselves if they were actually trying to take something to Templewell. That may or may not fit with that theory, that the well is somehow a alarm when a great evil is brought into Thistle Hold. So you could consider that. You do have knowledge, perhaps, that the barbarians themselves, the clan that were living underneath Thistle Hold in the caverns and had maltransformed themselves and were remnants of the clan that was defeated and thought dead, didn't have really anything to do with it specifically. You would also were present when you met the witches before you came back to the city, talking about a great evil, but they seem to talk about something different, some sort of piece of a spirit god within of Davokar itself that was taken into the city.
So they did mention that there's a spirit of some sort,
right,
that might be related to the corruption that the well warned of.
Right. It kind of gets tangled, gets tangled from there. What that necessarily means, it kind of gets tangled. And you have Eufrinda, who wants you to go down into the hole again, or, some degree of power play within the representative of the city when an investigation is sent down. I don't know if you think that is related or separate, that the hole itself found something that wasn't necessarily, it's just like a side effect. Like, what's down in the hole is down. It was always there, but it's not related. It just happened to be found when the sinkhole was created.
No, I'll just then say to Bo, look, we fought with these guys. They seemed reasonable, honorable, capable people. Maybe what they had caused the sinkhole, but, if so, I doubt they were aware of that. And on top of it, I don't feel like our team is really designed to do stealth-related missions, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not giving us enough credit. But I know I, for one, and Ferris, for another, are definitely not designed to do stealth. And I just wonder what your patrons are expecting us to do if stealth fails. Because, my guess is if these guys have some item that caused this sinkhole, they're probably expecting it to have quite a high value. And if we go and try to steal it and get caught, my guess is, they're going to not take it well, and a fight might ensue. And I really, don't like killing people that just days ago I was fighting side by side with against things that definitely needed to be killed. But, that's just my peace of mind, sort of. If you wish to proceed and you have a plan that you think will work, by all means, feel free to propose it.
Well, why don't we meet with Mayor before we make any final decision on our next move?
Okay.
Now, Bo, you know that the window of opportunity is tonight. The mayor's meeting's tomorrow. Are you deciding to table the mission from the legate and think about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would basically tell these guys, why don't we postpone that mission, and if you guys are going into the hole, maybe we'll find what caused the evil, and maybe it's not the tablet.
Okay. So,
but what if it is the tablet? Should we not just go burn them now?
Why are you always talking about burning?
Take a deep breath.
It's the fiery light
that he's talking about helped us fight, the things that came from the hole. I'm not comfortable just burning them for the sake of burning them. They
I
were
mean,
decent. They
if
seemed
they're
decent folk
traitors,
at the
they're
time.
traitors.
Traders don't
it-
run up and fight massive colossi and do so to the death. That is not behavior I typically associate with traders.
But they're still alive.
Not one of them. One of them fell by a giant mutated colossi and didn't survive the fight.
Okay.
So you argue a bit about what to do about the Queen's Legate job. And you have this meeting with the mayor in the morning. You probably have half a day or so. It doesn't sound like the group has come to terms on what to do about that job, and they're perhaps not pursuing it, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Do you, I would assume perhaps you separate company until tomorrow's meeting at the town seat?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Laris goes back to the smithy.
Actually,
And-
did Bo tell us where to find the brothers?
Yeah, I think he would tell you that the Queen's Legate
Yeah.
told them that they had rooms at the Winged Ladle, and that they're supposed to be now. The Winged Ladle is like I said, one of them used to be Mayor Nightpitch's home until he built Night,
Right.
and they're in
I'm
room
going-
3.
I'm gonna have my visor down. I'm gonna go to the Winged Legate whatever the damn inn is, because I just want to see if these guys are there and
Sure,
kind of
okay.
get a vibe for what's going on.
Winged
Do a
Ladle.
little intel. Yeah, the Winged Ladle.
Okay,
Do a little intel.
you're gonna swing by the Winged Ladle and see if at least part of it's true, like the McKelly brothers are actually there.
Sure. I mean, I fought with the guys, like running into them. I wouldn't even say it's by accident. I'll say I asked around and, found out you guys are staying here and I thought I'd buy you a drink. And I tried to save your brother. I'm sorry it didn't work. Like, I figure I could get some information that would kind of give us some clue as to what the hell's going on.
Yeah, so if you go to the Winged Ladle and in your armor, like you're all dressed up, and
Yeah.
you're sitting there, like the Winged Ladle is a tree, and it probably does have maybe a little tavern at the base for, people who stay at the Winged Ladle have money, like lots of money. But there's probably a tavern at the base that, when you're coming back to your rooms, you're going to stop by and have a nightcap, a couple more before you stagger up the stairs to the, up to the tree into your rooms on the second or third level. I would expect that you're recognized by them and they see you in your armor, like you've kitted yourself out when you went to the Ordo.
Right.
And the Templars, the McKelly brothers, are dressed. And they're doing what Templars would do before they're going to spend the dark hours in prayer before their brother. They're toasting his accomplishments,
Memory.
his life, in a more mundane way. They weren't always Templars. And sure enough, there's a time, and you get a sense there's a time and place for Krios, but also a time and place for brothers. And at the moment when you get there in the afternoon, they're just the McKelly brothers, just two of them. And they recognize you, like in your kit. And one is called Henlone McKelly, and the other is Venhai McKelly. And the brother who died was Lohan McKelly. And you are allowed in just because of the way you look, really. Like you're wearing this great armor. You're kitted out, and you see the McKelly brothers, at a table toasting, their brother Lohan and telling tales to the whole inn about their brother, because that's what they're doing. They're regaling his life and his battles and his triumphs and his defeats, and they see you and they probably hail you, and ask you if you're here to accompany them during the night prayer through the dark hours before they lay their brother to rest, because they're going to the light yard of the Church of Prios, and they will pray for their brother all night long. And in the morning, in the early hours of the morning, they will lay him to rest.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I have a little more of an informal relationship with Prius than you and your brothers do. But if you'll have me, I'll go. I mean, you all fought very well at the sinkhole, and your brother died in a very dignified and valiant manner. And I would be more than happy to join you to, say some prayers for his entrance to the Prios kingdom after his honorable passing.
Yeah, good. Question I have for Laris, is he being straight up with them, or is this is...
Oh no, he means it. He's
okay.
He's not lying.
Okay, I was asking
he has
if
an
he's
informal relationship with Prios. He's
but he's accepting.
Again, he's very uncomfortable stealing from these guys, but he wants to even see if that's if that's a thing. He's
okay.
This job bothers him a little bit, and he did think the guy fought well, and
So they are planning
to try to pull him.
They are planning to leave their rooms about 10 and go to the light yard of the Church of Prios and Thistle Hold. And
on top of that, it occurs to me that one of my colleagues might think like I think, which is maybe they're going to try to do something on the sly. So if I can add a distraction that might let them succeed, at least then nobody has to, fight anybody.
But you're not planning.
I'm okay with that.
You're not planning.
But I'm not planning.
Passing that information on.
All I'm doing is hanging out with these guys, celebrating their brother who I fought with, and if I can find information that might be useful in, whether or not this job makes sense or whether stealth could be an issue. Say, for instance, I noticed them bringing an object wrapped in bundles of cloth along. Well, then it occurs to me they didn't leave the, tablet behind and thus sneaking into their, it's I'm going there to actually honor their brother. But I'm in the process, if I can glean anything that's useful, I'll take it.
Yeah, you're going to stay there with them the whole time.
Yeah.
My question was more your ultimate purpose, and it seems like your ultimate purpose is true and true. So I'm not going to have
my ultimate purpose is to celebrate the life and passing of a guy who I fought with.
Helame, what do you do after you separate from the group? Or do you...
So Helame is actually going to spend some time in ritual creation of her servants.
Okay.
Which is probably going to take the better half of the rest of the day till evening.
Okay. And how about Bo? Are you working for the guard?
Yeah, I probably was just do some work with the guard. Yeah.
In any way considering doing this job alone?
No, I wouldn't consider doing it alone.
Just curious, just questioning. So Laris, you essentially celebrate the Michele brothers' life, Lohan Michele, through the afternoon, early evening. And at some point around 10 or so, they're going to probably stop doing that early, and you probably go up to their room, which is room number 3, and they change a little bit. They're still wearing the armor, but then they put on more Templar gear, and they probably will drape you with a vestige of Prios, like a little sash that goes around your neck and armor as they're preparing. And you will march towards the light yard of the Church of Prios and be there roughly about 10 and essentially pray all night with them for the most part.
Sounds good to me.
Helame, where are you doing it? Are you back at the town seat or are you doing that somewhere else?
Yeah, this I was just thinking about, like, where would I do this at? I would probably be doing it at the Order Tower. I think that's probably the safest place to do it.
Okay. Yeah, you go back to the Ordo Tower. The goblin just kind of looks at you and shrugs and just, waves you in a bit to do your work. And there's probably a common room, or there's a room that adepts can utilize for those kind of activities that you're planning.
Right.
What does Bo do? You're muted, by the way, if you are talking. Bo, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry. Laris is communing with the McKelly brothers and going to pray with them for their lost brother. And Helame is at the Ordo, probably at one of the common rooms, preparing fire and ash and brimstone. What does Bo do? Or where does he go?
I think I would do a shift with the guards.
Yeah, at Toad Square or at the gate. You want it rough and tumble, or?
I think at the gate this time.
Okay. So I put you at the north gate, and Laris is at the Church of Prios, and Helame is at the Ordo. Helame, you're in the Ordo. It's probably, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And you have an initiate come up you, and he's obviously standing there waiting for you to finish, waiting for you to show him attention. And once you give him attention, he kind of looks at you and says, Adept Helame, I have a message for you.
Yes, what is it?
A message has come to the Ordo for you, Adept Helame. And he kind of hands you this message. There's no wax seal on it. It's just folded twice.
Okay. I'll open it up.
You open it up, and it's, fairly good script, inked hand, and it just says, "What you don't know can kill you. Meet us. Half an hour. Edge of Summer Street."
Okay. And it's not signed by anybody?
Nope.
All right. I'll go.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity.
Is there a reason Helame goes? Like, she's all peaked up. She, or is she just restless? Is that the fire in her? She can't settle.
Right. Probably restlessness.
Okay.
Especially, it's ominous in of itself, that somebody wants to talk to her. Like, who the fuck would want to talk to Helame? So I'll go check it out.
Okay. Helame goes,
I mean, if it's not worth my time, I'll just burn them.
You're just burn them. And you're going with yourself, or what did you create?
Oh, I created the 2 flame servants. I don't know if you remember from 2 months ago.
Yeah. I don't know if I created. I assume they're going with you, though.
Yeah, there was a free actor, so I just duplicated it, and I'm just finishing it up right now.
Okay. Yeah, you can tell me when you name them and let me know where they are.
It's Chloe and Zoe.
Oh, I see. We would just draw them together out, huh? Let me.
Oh no, they're two separate ones. I
Oh, you're
wrote
gonna.
both names in one.
Okay, I'll let you finish that up. We will go to Bo at the north gate. I'm gonna drag him down to the north gate. Bo, you're there at the north gate. Just wonder what other guard. The north gate is closed, and you know he's the guard is antsy. What's Bo, man? I gotta pee. Is that all right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And I had way too much to drink.
Just go in that alley and go.
Okay.
Point to the nearest alley.
Right. He goes up this, this side street over here. And, he's kind of young. He's maybe 22 or so. And, he's like doing the waddle. He waddles up there and he just kind of waves to you, like, got this look of, thank God Bo is here on with me, because if it was someone else, I may have had to hold that all night long. And he, goes into the dark alley, and you're kind of standing there and spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes go by. You're all alone at the north gate.
The longest piss in history.
Right. You're grousing a bit. Damn kids. And, 35 minutes go by and you realize,
I look around. There's not any walking patrols, are there?
No. Well, let me ask. I didn't think about it. The city is in disarray, so maybe there is a walking patrol, or shift or something. Yes. So, Bo, you're standing there and you're waiting for him, and it's probably around 40 minutes or so. You see one of the rotating patrols coming up the long way, which is the road or the path that goes mostly around the whole city. It's called the Long Way. It changes name when it becomes Autumn Street around Mayor Night Pitches or Night Home, but then it's the Long Way all the way around, and probably a pair of guards come around. A big tall woman has a long kind of rapier, and a man, and they kind of nod at you and says, "Oh, you all alone at the north gate?"
I'm not supposed to be.
Ah.
I point to the alley.
They
Go
kind of
check your fellow guard who disappeared into that alley. I point over in that direction.
Huh. And they ask you who it was, and you probably, give them a name, and they kind of roll their eyes. God, he is young, though. He has a weak bladder, too, the woman says, and they kind of meander down that street and tuck in their Bo. 25 or 30 minutes go by, and you're just standing there all by yourself.
Now I'm really getting mad.
You kind of look down the long way one way and look down the long way another way. You can hear the city around you, but this is a fairly rich part of town, and all the trouble is more the other way rather than here.
Right.
And you
At
send
least
these.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, you send these two guards in there, and they don't come back. So you've lost the young guard who went to pee, and you sent the roving patrol around the long way, who roving patrols are normal, but they duck into that alley, and they don't come back, 30 minutes, 33 minutes.
No more roving patrol in 30 minutes. Now it's been over an hour.
Yeah, you figure maybe there's 3 roving patrols that are spaced out that continually walk around the city in a clockwork.
Sector.
Yeah, they're probably spaced out evenly as long as they don't dally somewhere. But it's not uncommon for the roving patrols to dally at a gate or duck into a tavern or have to take a pee on their own. And so sometimes one roving patrol backs into the other roving patrol, and then they kind of, go on, we'll wait here for a bit just so you're in front of us, because they're supposed to be evenly spaced, but they're not always. They are guardsmen, so sometimes they're not evenly spaced.
I'll cast a spell and then head into the alley.
Okay. You head into the alley, Bo. It's still pretty dark, and you're kind of going down the alley. You don't see them. You go up here, you take a left and take a right. Like there's a lot more little alleys through here, but you just don't see them. And it's really kind of one way. So you kind of take a left and a right, and then you take a left, and you just see 3 bodies laying on the ground.
In this area or up here?
Yeah, it's kind of like in the middle somewhere here, like in a small alleyway that kind of bisects that's just not on the map.
All right. Well, first I'll look around.
Okay. Make a vision roll at -3.
Including looking up, like to tops of buildings or anything. -3, right?
Yeah. Woo! Just when you need it. Oh, just when you need it. All right, So what happens, Bo, is you got these 3 bodies there. I don't know how far you stop away from them. I don't know. And
probably only 5 feet. I'm not far from them.
You do see that they're the 3 guardsmen. 2 of them are down. They're just down. One of them has an arrow like through right middle of the back that goes all the way through to the fletching, really. And as you approach, you see movement around the corner, as if someone's setting up. With a 1, you probably see them, and they don't notice that they're there. You can't really tell in the dark what the figure looks like, but you know absolutely that there's only one of them. That's what you know for certain. Number 2, you know for certain that they don't notice that you know that they're there, and they're kind of concealed at the moment, probably 10, 15 feet away, or 3 meters, 4 meters away at the end, maybe tucked behind a...
Like over here?
Yeah, tucked behind something, tucked behind a doorway or a side doorway from one of the houses that come out into the alley, where the main doorway is on one of the other roads that's bigger. So maybe it's a back door to one of the houses, or kind of tucked in there. And they're just waiting, perhaps waiting for you to investigate the body, to bend over and turn your head, to look down, to try to revive them, something. They're waiting for you not to be standing looking at the right place. You're certain there's only one of them. You're certain that they don't know you're there, and you're certain that they're waiting for you to become distracted. What does Bo do?
All right. First I was gonna step into a doorway or something, but I think if I can get a glimpse of somebody, I would throw my shield.
Ah, okay. I think, with a 1, that, that's a critical success, that you have this moment to ambush them. Let me find their token. There we go. I'm just going to put them on the map. And I think you do get that free attack before initiative.
Do I only see one? You
Yep.
said?
You're positive there's only one. You're positive that there's no one else on the rooftops, and you're positive they're waiting for you to maybe look down at the bodies or become distracted with them. Oh,
Not bad.
just when you need it. That's pretty good damage too, though. Let me see what they have. Yep. Okay. So what does that look like, Bo, as you throw the...
Probably aiming for the throat, aiming for something, an exposed part. I've had a lot of practice with the shield at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I think you catch them off guard. They're waiting for you to bend over and inspect the bodies, and you flick out your shield, Grakosha's steel shield, and it just flicks. You have to like bounce it off the wall, I think, because they're in that kind of alcove, and you see it. You kind of flick it out. It hits the wall and bounces out, almost like a billiard ball, right? Bing!
Right.
And it hits them, and you see them go down to their knees. And we enter initiative. Helame, are you back?
I am.
Okay. We'll go to you for a second as Laris is communing with the Meliki brothers. You take your servants with you, I would expect, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of leave the Ordo. I'm seeing exactly. Yep. You leave the Ordo, and they're just meeting you down Summer Street a little bit, about here or so. You leave the Ordo, you take a left out of the main yard, you got your flaming serpents behind you, and you're walking down Summer Street in the night. It's probably around the time that Laris and the Meliki brothers are just entering the light square of the Church of Prios in Thistle Hold, and you hear a whisper, "Psst, be quiet, over this way." And you see this figure just motioning you down this alley. Don't let anyone see you. What you know can hurt you.
I kind of look at the dark and cloaked figure and like turn my head to the side of the two flaming, servants near me and like, okay, what is it that you want? I don't have time for these parlor games.
If she just disappears, or the figure just disappears down the alley. Hurry up.
All right. I'll follow. Just out of curiosity.
How young is Helame? Lordly.
She's I don't care. What's the adult age here? Is it 16, 18?
Yeah, 16 would be age of majority, where you could actually, you wouldn't have if you inherited a house, you wouldn't have your mother rule until you were 16. But probably 16 is adult.
Okay.
So she could be anywhere from 16 to 24, depends on how old you want to make her.
She's probably 17 then.
Young.
She's still young, right?
Right. 1 year out of the initiate from the Ordo.
Right.
With her two flaming servants behind her, walking down there, and she turns right down this alleyway, and she sees a figure standing just a little bit before this crossroads. Put them on guard, because you're being followed. And then she ducks into the side.
Being followed. I look behind me.
Sure, roll a vigilant test. Yeah, LMA, you look behind you and you don't see a damn thing. I mean, this is a richer part of the city anyways, and so it's relatively more quiet, but, you kind of maybe walk even past your flaming servants and you don't see anyone following you. I mean, I'm sure you would know if some cutthroat was following you. I mean, you are a LMA, I can
Right.
say.
Yeah, I mean, who would want to follow a young girl?
Right.
That makes no sense.
So what do you do?
I kind of shrug my shoulders, like if somebody's following me, I don't see it. I don't know what this person. What is your name?
Yeah, you can't see
Can
her.
I tell if it's a?
You could probably tell
Okay,
the voice is female, like higher pitched, kind of like yours, slighter build, obviously smaller shoulders, probably a little bit shorter than you. Obviously not male, unless it's a really young boy, a tall 12-year-old, but you're almost positive it's female.
Right. So I'll still follow this child or young adult.
Okay. So you round the corner into this kind of dark alley. You're two flaming servants behind you.
Yep.
Okay. And she's just at the end, of the alleyway. It's probably maybe 3 feet wide. It's a pretty narrow space, like between houses, really, in this richer part, in the dark, maybe around the shrubbery, that sort of thing. And the figure is just standing at the end.
All right. I think this is far enough. What's the deal?
So you walk up to her?
No, I don't. I keep my distance.
How far?
Probably like 5 paces.
5? That's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Well. I guess it depends on the number of paces you have to make in normal speed.
Right. 5 paces are pretty close. That's, pretty darn close. Where are the flaming servants?
Oh, just right behind me.
Okay. How far away from them are you? How far away from you are they?
Oh, I assume they're like right near me, like a step or two.
Like behind you. Okay.
Right.
She kind of looks at her. She looks young. She has a little bit of wisp of blonde hair, got a scar down one cheek, and you see that she's thinking about something, and she kind of looks at you and she says, "You should have them guard the back." She looks around.
Well, they guard me.
Where are they?
So
they're going to come in from that way.
Who is they?
Well, look, I don't mean you any harm, but they're going to come in from behind. You can trust me or not.
Okay. You're still not telling me who they are.
She looks at you. She looks at your flaming servant. She goes, "Hell, we didn't think you'd bring them anyways. But I'm telling you, if you let me run this way, they're going to come in from behind."
We look, girl.
Make a. What would it be? I think it would be cunning. Make a cunning roll. Yeah, Helene, for whatever reason, like when you look at this young woman's face, she's probably a little bit older than you, has got street wear on her, and she looks nervous when she looks past you and sees the flaming servants, and you're almost positive that she's decided to give up the ghost and tell you what's going to happen so that she has time to beat feet out the other direction.
Right. Okay. Well, so in that moment where I've kind of, suspected her of doing something dumb, I will cast Flame Wall behind her.
You're going to trap her in there?
Yep.
Oh, it's just terrible. All right, let me put you over here. I'm just gonna put you out in the middle. You cast flame well without a problem, and the wall of flame brightens up behind her. You see her look behind her, and then she looks back at you, and you just see her face change. It's like cornering a dog, really. And she realizes that despite her talking truth to you and trying to keep you out of danger, that you just made your call, because she has nowhere to go, really. The only way she has an escape from this moment is through you. And she just pulls 2 daggers out of her belt and whistles loud. And figures come from behind you, from where your flaming servant is, and the way that she said they were going to come as soon as she lays out her whistle. Let me put them on the map. Laris, you're at the light yard with the Meliki brothers. One of the Meliki brothers asked you how often do you come to church? How often do you see the light of Prios? Laris, you're of the Ordo, right?
I am with the Ordo. I go to the Church of Prios, usually just on feast days. As I said, Prios and I have a somewhat informal relationship.
Oh, so you're not really a believer then? They both kind of look at you for a moment.
Not in the truest sense of how you mean. I am not I'm not a pious man.
Then why come with us tonight, Laris of the Order?
Because your brother died honorably, and I wish to have a moment of remembrance for how he died. I tried to save him and could not quite get it done soon enough, and I feel a little responsible as a result.
You just see them both look at you, and then they kind of look at each other, these Templars, and you probably know what Templars are. There's not necessarily great blood between the Templars and the Ordo, but your openness to sit with them all night to pray for their brother, despite not being someone who maybe truly believes in Prios, affects them. And they just kind of nod and says, well, if you ever change your mind and want to leave the Ordo, Laris, we would gladly speak for you to the church and welcome you into the Templars. You're an honorable person.
Oh, and if either of you ever need some work done on your weapon or armor, you can always come to my shop and I will do my best.
They find there's in the light yard of Prios, or essentially this kind of front garden area with small gardens. It's not that big of an area. There's different statuary or parts where people will kneel and pray, and they have one that's kind of roped off, and there's 3 or 4 other Templars from the church who they must have discussed with earlier, who have reserved that spot for them. And they're going to put their helmets down and both kneel in front of this essentially statuary of a son of Prios and pray throughout the night. They kind of kneel together first and then realize that they haven't really left space for you. So one of the McKelly brothers moves so that there's a space in the middle between the two of them. And they both look at you and says, you are welcome, Laris, to pray for our brother in his life and kneel between us.
I'll take off my helmet and I'll tuck it under, like basically tuck it with my arm so that it's kind of crooked in my armpit a little bit. And I'll step up and take a kneel. And as I do, Ferris will stand behind me and he'll kneel like about 2 feet behind me. He'll kneel down as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not, it's not something that Templars would expect. Like you, Laris of the Ordo, and a flaming servant. Now, they surely know what Ferris is, but
yeah, they saw him fight. I mean.
Right, to have Ferris like kneel there, this thing of magic the Ordo creates that isn't necessarily something that Prios would, at least certain Prioses of certain people would acknowledge as a great thing. You see them come to acceptance and somehow find a particular common ground with Laris of the Ordo, making this gesture to pray with them throughout the night for their brother before they bury him in the morning. Helame, do you have your 2 flaming servants on there?
They're in the thing.
Yeah, I know. I bring them out. I just didn't know if you finished. I'm gonna put them at the and do it. Oh, there it did. What was the other one's name?
Chloe and Zoe.
Yeah, Chloe and Zoe.
Okay. Ooh, a little bit of a delay. I'm gonna put them about there. All right, we will go back to Bo. What I'm going to do is put everyone in initiative except for Laris, who is with the McKelly brothers. Let me put Chloe and Zoe in the middle.
I just laugh because I thought it'd be cool to go hang out with these guys and celebrate their brother, and then I miss a fight. Man, I have the worst luck.
Well, I actually think it's kind of cool. Obviously, you're not in combat, but I think the RP part of that is kind of cool. It's
I do too. I'm just laughing because I finally bought an Ordo power besides a ritual, and now I can't use it.
So, Bo, you see this figure that you hit with your shield, and your shield, bounces off the bricks of the wall and hits the figure, and then, bounces back towards you, and you catch it in your hand. The figure is going to stay on its knees. And you hear it yell out to you. It's a woman's voice. And she yells out to you as she reaches into her robes or into a big pocket of her robes. And it's all business. Either you die or I die. And she throws something at you. Let me see how she does that, because I haven't done it before. I think it's so that's cunning versus quick. Okay. So she's going to throw this, whatever she pulled out in her hand.
Chemical grenade.
Right. You see these kind of scintillating little packets come out of her hands, tumbling over towards you. You're relatively close to her, within a movement distance. She looks at you and really says, it's all business. Either you die or die. And she stays on her knees and she throws this at you. Cunning versus quick. Right. Cunning versus quick. So our target you. Well, at least he's fast. All right. So, Bo, you these little packets hit you and kind of burst all around you, and this dust kind of comes out, and you just as you breathe it all in, and really what these are in mechanical terms or Symbaroum terms are choking spores. And so you will take, whoops. I believe it's 1d4 for 1d4 rounds. Let me check really quick. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, the choking spores.
Yeah, so you take 1d4 damage per round for 1d4 turns without armor. So roll
It's
1d.
like being poisoned.
Yeah, roll 1d4 first for how much damage you're going to take per round. And roll 1d4 again for how many rounds. Right, so you take 4 damage for 2 rounds. So this is the first round. You take 4 damage, ignoring armor this round. And they're going to try to stand up. And then she stands up and pulls out a kind of long dagger, really. The girl in front of Helame has these 2 daggers in her hand, and she can't go anywhere because Helame has this bright fire behind her. And so she attacks Helame with both her daggers. And one more time.
So I will use. Oh, I'll try to cast illusionary correction.
Oh, what does that do?
It just allows me a reroll.
Oh, okay. Huh. So you cast illusionary correction. That does it allow you to reroll this roll or before?
Yeah, failed defense.
Failed defense. So you can roll you want me to just roll the attack again, or you just roll your defense?
Well, it's my strong versus your cunning.
Defense, yeah, it would be your defense versus cunning.
Defense.
Yeah, your defense.
Oh no, the strong versus cunning, that was your ability to resist the poison.
Right. I think it's
okay.
Quick versus cunning. Quick versus cunning. So if you target her, roll quick and then choose her cunning.
Oh, you roll defense, not necessarily quick.
Yeah, but his quick is the same, so it's 10.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 10. And her cunning is what she's attacking, so it'd be...
No, I gotcha. Just, for some people, your quick and your defense are different for a number of reasons.
So it doesn't work. She stabs you with this dagger. You feel burning along your side as she goes through your robes. And Helame probably realizes, the one dagger gets caught up in her clothing, and the other dagger stabs her, and she realizes that the burning, I'm not certain if Helame would know, like it hurts so bad when she gets stabbed, whether she would realize that the woman she's facing has poison on her daggers. Bo, what do you...
As she stabs in... Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, even though she just stabbed me with her 2 daggers, I was like, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, is that what you say?
Yeah, as a she stabs me with the dagger. I'm like, we didn't have to fight, but
Is your wall of fire, is that a concentration spell at this point?
it is. I gotta add
Okay.
4
So then you have to do a
on my turn. Yeah.
resolute test, right?
Okay, Bo, as you breathe in these choking spores that the woman throws at you, you realize it's a woman just by her voice, and it's all business to her. She's taken down 3 of these guards that you've known. What does Bo do?
I would lunge at her with my fencing sword.
Okay. She's prone still, or at least on a knee. Oh no, she stood up. My fault. She did stand up.
Yes, she made her
Yeah,
check.
she made her check. So she's standing up with a long dagger. And that's it. Oh my goodness. What happens, Bo?
Gene, that last 4 is a mistake. Remember we said that it's supposed to be a D8.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Not a
You killed
D.
her anyways. It's supposed to be a D4 or?
It's supposed to be a D8.
Yeah.
And now it's rolling both of them because the D4 was the lesser.
Oh, so it only
Ability.
counts the D8, but not the D4. 8, 9.
Right.
So, and how much? How much did the shield do to her? Let's see.
Shield did 9, right?
Did it do that much?
It's
Yeah.
7. It
7.
rolled 9, but 2 points of armor.
Oh, so she did 7, and this would have actually done 9. 9. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. The end result's still the same, Bo. What does it look like as you dispatch this assassin? As you're choking on your own air?
And I just say, it's only business. And I stab her in the throat.
It's only business. And she kind of grabs the fencing sword. She's just laid up against the side. She gets this little smile on her face when you say it's only business. Like this was the job for her. Obviously, this was her moment. And you're sitting there choking on the spores as you stab her through the throat. You will lose 4 points this next round. So you'd go down 4 points. Thank God you only rolled 2 instead of a 4 and 4. That would have been terrible. But you're kind of choking as you stab her with the fencing sword, and you lose 4 more to health as you're there. And we're go back to Helene. Chloe and Zoe, you have these 2 menacing figures behind you. You kind of look behind you, perhaps briefly, as you're getting attacked, and you see that they're kind of in this dingy plate mail. You can just hear it, you can see it over them. You just saw Laris, who was kitted out and looked fantastic. But these men look, dingy and dark, and, their swords don't look upkept as much, and they don't shine. What does Chloe and Zoe do?
So first, the girl takes 5 points of fire damage for attacking me.
Oh, she does?
From Flame Soul.
Flame what?
Flame Soul.
Flame Soul.
Or Fire Soul.
Is that just because it's always active?
Yeah, it says whenever struck in melee, flames strike out at the attacker, dealing 1d6.
Ah, my goodness. That's terrible. Okay. But it's not ongoing damage. She doesn't start on fire.
No, it's not ongoing.
Okay. And okay.
And I'll have Zoe attack one of the guys in the back.
Okay.
Let's see. Where'd Zoe go? Did you move the character?
No, they're there. Maybe you refresh.
Oh no, it's in a different folder for some reason.
No, I got them on the screen.
No, I meant the character sheet. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I just pulled the icons on. I thought I didn't look at the character sheet, so.
Oh, I think that misses. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I guess Chloe will shoot the arrow at the other one, or we'll target the same one just to make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So he starts burning, but he doesn't take any damage.
Right.
I think like he has a cloak on or something, and as he gets hit, that cloak just bursts into flame and is burning, which easily could do that kind of damage to his exposed skin, like 2 per round. Okay. And that's how I probably see it affect him. Like it doesn't hit his armor or anything, but it just starts burning his clothing and the cloak he has on because it's winter, and it immediately sets on fire. They attack your flaming servants, I think, directly, trying to get to you. And the other one attacks your other flaming servant, Zoe. Okay. Helime, you're slow. I mean, you're fiery and your tongue's quick, but you're
Yeah.
you're the slowest. You know, as this is happening, you're kind of circling with the woman, and she got these 2 daggers out, and she takes a partial step back and says, "We can stop fighting now. I will give up."
Sure. Drop your daggers or help me in the fight. One of the two.
She kind of looks at you, and she looks at the flaming servants and says, "You don't think they can take them?"
Well, they're young, so they probably can take them.
Fine, then
We're about to find out.
I will stand back here with you. If they break through, then I will surely do my part. As long as you're trustworthy.
All right. Well, I'm more trustworthy than you, Miss Ambusher.
And she looks at you and smiles with a little bit. Well, we all got to eat. What does Helime do then as she kind of steps up next to you, and she's shorter than you. She's probably maybe 5'1", 5'2", you know, shorter, got her dirty, you know, her blonde hair tied in a bun, her hood is back. She's got a long scar down one cheek, and she kind of stands up and looks at you and realizes that she's just, you know, made a bet.
That was resolute for the flame wall.
Okay. Yeah, so the flame wall is behind you.
Right.
Blocking you
not
in.
doing any real purpose.
Right. Blocking you in.
Right.
She looks back at it and says, "You might want to get rid of that in case we got to run."
And then I'll start casting Brimstone Cascade
Okay.
at the guys.
Yeah, Gene has experience with Brimstone Cascade.
Yeah, I used it yesterday.
Yes.
Off the cuff.
But we learned you can't do maintain casting on Brimstone Cascade.
Yeah.
It doesn't like that. And there's no chain effect option.
Right. I'm going to look at.
There is a chain effect.
Yeah, but it doesn't work right.
No.
And so you always.
In the Foundry mechanic.
Yeah. You always.
Oh, yeah.
You always have to do.
Initial casting each and every time with the chain, and then you just got to pay attention to how much temporary corruption. Just make sure to delete the additional temporary corruptions.
Yeah, just don't hit don't select maintaining because it doesn't work. Okay. Can Hella May bounce that, or is it a one shot?
No, she's bouncing it.
Okay. Yeah, just
I believe. Right, I believe at Adept you get chain.
Yeah, just select initial casting, not maintenance, because it won't roll right.
I totally forget what master level gives you on top of chain.
Okay. So you hit one, and the second one, the brimstone just kind of hits his armor and, scatters everywhere, all over. Hellame, the girl next to you just kind of stands there up on the balls of her feet, watching, looks up at you and says, "Damn, that was hot."
Yes. Hot indeed.
Can you show me how to do that? She's got her two daggers out. Well, I don't want them to come through though, but maybe I work for you next time.
Maybe we can talk about that after we survive this.
Right. Bo, you're in that alleyway with the dying assassin and the 3 guardsmen that she killed. You're choking on that choking spores, and it eases, eventually your wheezing kind of eases up. You start to breathe a little bit easier. Does Bo do anything as she's kind of gurgling there?
I start searching her.
Yeah, she really doesn't have much honor. Like, this was business. She has no money, no bag, no notes, no nothing. She's just carrying maybe one extra bag of choking spores. Like, you find like this bag that's kind of a mesh bag, and you maybe sniff it a little bit and sneeze right automatically, and you realize that's like a second row of choking spores. She has a long dagger on it that has this kind of slick sheen. Like, you realize the blade is coated with some sort of liquid, and she probably has 1 or 2 vials of liquid tucked into her belt, like little loops in the inside of her belt, but she completely has absolutely nothing on her. No marks, no tattoos, no nothing.
And she also had a bow.
Yeah. She has like a small crossbow strapped to her back. So maybe, a bolt, a bolt hit one. So, like a small hand crossbow, or a crossbow that's been chopped down a little bit so it can fit over the back, and swing it and then put it back in.
I would strip that and then go report to the guard.
Okay.
What's happened.
You go back to the north gate, or you go find the nearest guard on a corner to.
Yeah, I would go find the nearest guard.
Okay. Yeah, I think you kind of run back down that alley towards Pitt Street, and maybe there's, this is the rich part of the town, and you realize there are kind of guards that are more on the corners of the street here and there, and you grab a guard, tell him what's happened. Do you send a guard to the barracks itself, or do you and go back to the north gate yourself, or do you send them to the north gate and you go to the barracks? Just curious.
I would send them to the barracks. I would stay at my post.
Okay. You return to the north gate, or at least the edge, until the guard comes to figure out what's happened. Helame, Chloe, and Zoe are up.
All right. We'll start with Zoe first. On that same guy. Ugh. They're having bad rolls.
Right. At least the woman who's next to you isn't too antsy yet.
Right.
That may change, but
Oh,
whoa.
gosh. 2 bad rolls.
Yep. Laris, you're kneeling between the Meliki brothers, and do you even know how to pray?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know the words for standard prayers, but I'll say things like, may Prios bathe you in light and keep you safe on your journey into your next life.
Yeah, you see the 2 Meliki brothers. They've pulled out these kind of white beads, right? They're pretty long. There's actually 46 of them for the 46 stations of Prios, and you see them just moving across, and there's a pause as one of them kind of looks at you and offers you his beads. He kind of looks and says, "I know all 46 prayers. Would you like my beads to keep track?"
Yes, if you be so kind, sure.
You kind of take his beads.
Right. I'll hold them with a degree of, with a correct degree of respect.
Okay. You are going to spend most of the night there with them. Probably around 2 a.m. or so is when, the prayers will last for 4 hours, from 10 to 2 through the midnight hour, like 2 hours before and 2 hours after. And then the Meliki brothers get up, and behind you have knelt like 6 or 8 other Templars that are in Templars of the Church of Prios of Thistle Hold. They kind of rise as you're standing there, and one of the Meliki brothers offers you his hand, and you and Ferris rise, and the Templar from one of the Templars from the Thistle Hold Church of Prios kind of comes up and slaps one of the Meliki brothers on the shoulder and says, "Be safe on your travels back to Templewell, brother. We will not speak of what has occurred or that you were here. We will keep it between the Brotherhood." And Laris would understand that the Templars
Seem in on the tablet joke?
Are the what?
Seem in on the tablet joke?
No, they're in on the fact that the Meliki brothers are here without the church's knowledge, or at least the Church of Thistle Hold's knowledge, like Father Jezebel or the fathers of Thistle Hold chapter of Prios.
So there's definitely an undercurrent of a secret sect of Prios people. From the perspective of a lay person who doesn't know much about the church,
or
I guess from their interaction that there's like a secret undercurrent. Go ahead, sorry, Gene.
I think that Laris would feel that would see that the Templars are a brotherhood, and there may be a schism between them in some respect, but they hold steady to that brotherhood or the vows of that brotherhood. Laris probably wouldn't know if they swear to each other or just to Prios or the church, which comes first, like Prios Church Brotherhood, or is it Prios Brotherhood Church? Is it Brotherhood Prios? I has no idea.
Is it country core God? Is it God country core? Is it core? Yeah, I gotcha.
And you go back to the rooms. You go back to the winged ladle, and they look at each other, and they look at you, Laris, and say, we would like to share our mission with you. We think our brother would want it. You have knelt with us for 4 hours, and it is the right thing to do.
A mission. Understand, as I've said before, Prios and I, we have kind of an informal relationship.
He kind of holds his hand up. No. We don't want to accompany.
Okay.
We don't want you to accompany us on our mission. We want you to. We want to share the importance of it with you.
Okay.
Well, then, you should come to our rooms with us. And they start.
I will
walking them to their rooms.
I'll go with.
Okay.
So, Gene, I have a question. There's an ability, a monster trait called Harmful Aura, which basically means your thing can exude, like, I think it's Flame, Frost, or a couple other types. And there's various things about it, but one of the things is it's passive, so it's always on. And it basically damages guys who are in melee contact. I want to give that to Ferris, but can we have it? If I do, can it only apply when he draws? Because if you read the description of Flaming Servant, it talks about how when they draw their weapon in combat, they flare up more. And I kind of want that to be, like, that's when it's active. Otherwise, it's just off, even though the power doesn't kind of technically do that. I was wondering if that could be something, that we, like,
Sure.
if I take that with, okay. Cool, because
good.
I like the idea that, because, like, it's hot enough that it will do damage through armor, and on top of that, like, when the power's on, you can't avoid being tracked. Like, it leaves a discernible trail. Like, in my case, it'll be like a carbon path that Ferris walks, but he's only going to do it when he flares up according to the descriptor of the Flaming Servant. Because I just think that's a really cool.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Like, the power's not that strong, but it's very cool from a role play descriptive kind of sense, I think. And the power's actually not bad, so I'm going to take that power. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Helame, the two black-clad mailed figures attack Chloe and Zoe. Oh, that's terrible. Ooh.
Oh, it goes down.
I mean, you rolled a 20. That's probably to be expected right there.
Well, if it's any consolation, if you re-ritualize her before the end of the session, you don't really lose anything.
Right. You just see him take his bastard sword in two hands and swipe down on Chloe, and it just crumples down in the ground. Flame and brimstone maybe boils up, and the woman next to you is awfully shorter, kind of standing there, takes a step back and goes, shit.
Yeah, yelling Chloe, and don't forget to take 2 for fire.
Right. I think he takes 2 for fire. Yeah, just 2 for fire. Okay. She looks behind her. She goes, about that wall. And the other one attacks Zoe.
Just have crap rolls.
Yeah.
I love at classes, but you really have to go out of your way not to get them killed. They die so easily.
Just kind of slices down on Zoe, and Helame, you're standing back there as Chloe is taken out. The woman beside you is kind of bouncing a little bit on her things and looking up at you and thinking, damn. She kind of says, you might want to think about running soon. Ma'am, mistress, fire. What does Helame do?
Yeah, so I'm going to end the firewall and start another firewall.
Okay. Where's that going to...
Right in front of Zoe.
Right in front of Zoe. Okay. Yeah, I think you could. To block them.
Right.
Okay. You got to roll for it or no?
We're going to recast that. use an illusionary correction.
How often can you use them?
Once per turn.
Once per turn.
So I'm just going to recast it again.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to add +1.
Is that a reaction?
No, yeah, illusionary correction is a reaction. The flame wall is not.
Right. No, as a result, illusionary correction, you can roll a number of times in a round. It just has to be for a separate dialed instance. Like you can't illusionary correct your wall of fire twice, for instance.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But
you only get it once per turn.
Okay. You only get it once per turn per thing, like, you know.
Per event, per separate,
right.
like if she gets attacked by guy A, she can have guy A reroll, and then if that guy B attacks, she can have guy B also reroll.
Right.
Because they're two separate events, basically.
Right. Okay. But she couldn't do it if.
But she couldn't have them reroll twice.
Right. Okay. So you cast a flame wall in front of them. And
I'll pick up Chloe's, carcass, I guess is the word.
Yeah, the woman beside you, like runs up to you and stashes both daggers in and starts picking up stuff. We got to take all of it, or can we go quickly?
Just got to get the armor.
She's got it underneath her. Like, I carry some too. Come on, we got to go. That's a great flame wall. Maybe you can show me that trick.
Yeah, another time when we're not running for our lives.
Okay. And you use your movement action to run. I would expect.
Yeah, well, a move because I got to pick up the armor, right? So that takes an action.
Oh yeah. Sure. What will end up happening is there's no way for them to get through the flame wall. They're not.
I mean, they can.
No, you just see them like seething on the other side of the flame wall, and then you hear them yell, "Yindra, we're gonna find you, girl. We're gonna find you."
Not if we find you first.
And the woman next to you goes, whose name is Yindra. "Yeah, don't come around here again. We gotta go. Like, really, come on, let's go. That firewall is hot, but we gotta go." And they stand there for a while trying to decide if they're going to go through the firewall, but it's just not going to happen. They end up giving up, shouting curses at you as you kind of run away down the alleyway. Yender probably grabs you no, not that way, this way, that way. You go down these dark alleys and you end up probably way north of the Queen's Square in some dark place, and she's breathing really heavy. Well, sorry for my part. I think it was a good deal, though.
Okay, well, I hope you made something out of that. And who were they?
We were just hired.
By who?
We don't know. Some woman, maybe in her 30s or 40s, brown hair, kind of brownish stuff. Didn't
Did
tell
she
us her
smell
name.
of smoke and incense?
I don't know. She sniffs at you. She goes, "Well, you smell of smoke and incense too." I don't
Probably
know.
just smoke.
She just paid us for the job.
All right. Well, be kind. Keep an eye out for. Keep an eye out. I've got to head back and meet my acquaintances.
Right. She kind of looks at you. He goes, "All right, then. If you look behind you and you see me, don't worry. I'm just making sure that you get back to the Ordo safe."
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, we do good turns for each other. She kind of looks at you, and woman to woman. Well, anyways, thanks. You didn't have to do it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, let's hope we meet on happier terms or more cordial terms. Huh?
She nods and she goes, "Well, here's your stuff." And she Clink, clink, clink. Like sooty all over her, but she's pretty dirty anyways. Well, wrap it up in your, shirt or something. And she fades off into the darkness. She really didn't know who hired them. It was a relatively nondescript woman, brown hair, brown eyes, brown clothes, brown boots, paid them well. But
I suspect it's the master.
The master. Bo,
That horrid bitch.
You're standing at the north gate. Captain Marvello comes with maybe 2 or 3 other guardsmen. Kind of looks at you and says, "Damn it, Bo. What happened here?"
There was an assassin.
An assassin? For Carlos? He's only 22. He can't barely buckle his shoes.
I'm not sure. It might have been for me ultimately.
And he kind of looks at you, rolls his eyes. That makes sense.
Go take a look in the alleyway. You'll see the culprit, and unfortunately, we've lost 3 guards.
He kind of sighs, like, you could tell it pains him. To lose the 3 guards pains him. And perhaps, Bo, he blames you a little bit, He kind of asks you, how the hell did they get in the alley in the first place, Bo?
Well, 2 of them went to investigate.
Investigate what?
Was it Carlos? Did you say?
He kind of looks at you and goes, "Oh, he could take a piss right here by the damn gate. Why did you send him in the alley? He doesn't know any better. Now he's dead."
He was a little bashful.
What the hell are you sending the guard in there? Look at you. Kind of looks you up and down. How fast did you kill the assassin?
Oh, relatively fast.
Well, shit, Bo. I got 2 more guardsmen dead, and you could have just...
Wait, was I supposed to interrogate this woman?
No! You were supposed to go in there and not send the damn rotating guards in there after him. Look at them now. All 3 of them are dead. They, drag him out. They don't even have wounds on them. 2 of... How did they die without wounds, Bo?
Maybe the choking.
Choking spores.
Stuff.
He kind of just looks at you and says, "Bo, you could have done this by yourself. There's 2 more dead guardsmen. Look at Silva, Paulus. Silva and Paulus are dead."
And I would show him the choking spores.
So you just look at you and damn it, go to your bunk.
The one that's left.
Son of a bitch. Cursing you out. The fact that you're alive.
Hey, on a positive note, you don't have to pay their wages.
You just get this dark look from him, Bo. Captain Marvello just looks at you, almost puts his hand on his sword. It's this flat out dark look of you just he goes, "Well, I hope your friends are alive. If they attack you, they probably did the same to them. You think about that? You think they can take care of themselves?"
Sure, I think they can hold their own. I'm not worried about them.
You're off guard duty. Go back to your bunk. Don't speak a word of this. Only a quarter will like you, and the 3/4 won't. He kind of looks at the other 2 guards who are standing there and gives them an eye, what has happened today. The moments are not going to go past this point. But there's 3 guardsmen here. Just spin a tale that you all were attacked at the gate. And he sends you back to the barracks. Bo, say anything as he's leaving.
Oh. No, I wouldn't.
All right. Laris, the McKelly brothers take you up to their room, and room number 3 in the winged ladle, and they unbuckle their, swords and long dagger and, put it down, take off their helms, and get one thing for a second. And Henlone Meliki reaches under the bed and pulls out this wooden crate or wooden box along the floor. It's, probably wide and short. It's maybe a forearms width tall and maybe 2 forearms width wide. He has to use both hands on 2 iron rungs on either side to pull the crate, to pull the box from underneath the bed. And he kind of jerks it and it and gets it all the way out and kind of looks at his brother, Van Hall, and then he unsnaps the pop thing. And he looks at you, Laris, and Henlone says, "You sure you want to see this, Laris of the Ordo?"
I don't know what it is, but if you want to show me, go ahead.
Sure. It flips open the box and you see this copper tablet. It's probably, a couple inches thick, and it's, 12 by 16, 12 in height and 16 on width. And across the copper tablet, or the metal of it, is scrawled writing that you, at least at this point, don't know. What does Laris do?
I think my breath catches a little bit. Given that I'm a lore master, although not a very powerful one, do I sense that it's probably an artifact of some kind?
I would think so. You're an artifact crafter too. I think as a blacksmith and an artifact crafter and a lore master, the combination of all 3 of those, as soon as they open the crate and you see this copper tablet, it wouldn't be something you feel. You don't feel magic at the moment, that sort of thing.
Right.
You just know that you're looking at an artifact.
But I don't feel this insane sense of corruption.
Not standing where you are.
Okay. I reach into my bag on my back, and actually I just take off the bag, put it on the bed, and open it up, and I pull out a book. And I open the book up, and I ask if it's okay if I look at this item in a little bit more detail.
Make a persuasion
basically,
roll.
can I make a lore master? Yes,
make
I'm
a
just asking
persuasion
if I can make a wondering if they'll let me do a lore master check on it. Oh.
Yeah, Henlo looks at you and says, "No, Master Laris, we can't let you scry the tablet. We're just showing it to you as a moment of gratitude for you being with us with the loss of our brother."
I'll look at the gentleman, and I'll I'll take a look at them. Specifically, I don't have Medicus, but I'll look them over as if I did, and say, "You guys haven't used the item, have you?"
They look at you, and you can just tell, they just shake their head, their eyes close slowly, like, what are you, a fool? Of course not. That kind of look. Okay. They don't necessarily see it, but they look at you and said, "Master Laris, we are Templars of the Templewell. We do not use artifacts of this nature, and it's just our duty to procure."
I very specifically study artifacts, so I didn't think you had, but when did you bring this into the city? Before we met you at the sinkhole?
I think they came in the city that morning.
So you brought an artifact into the city right before the sinkhole erupted.
He kind of looks at you and says, "Yeah, that's about right. Sinkhole erupted.
Okay.
Brothers and I raced to the sinkhole and defended the city as we should."
I understand that. If you didn't use it, it likely wouldn't have been the cause of the sinkhole, and I wanted to make sure those 2 events were not somehow related, because if they were, this could be a very dangerous item, and I just wanted, to understand if it were a very dangerous item, I would be very uncomfortable having it in the city, and I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case.
Yeah, the brothers look at you, and Henlone actually kind of shakes his head and kneels down, and he puts the flat of his hand right in the center of the copper tablet and looks at you. This is not not an evil artifact, Laris of
I'm
the
not
Ordo.
saying it is. I'm just saying sometimes artifacts don't exude a constant source of corruption, but when you use them, sometimes they create a spike. Actually, often they create a spike, and that spike can have varying degrees depending on what the item's supposed to do. You guys didn't look like you've been affected by corruption like I would expect. If it were something that had created the sinkhole, you guys would be blight marked to no degree. I mean, it would just be obvious all over you. I just wanted you to tell me your side of the story that would make me think this item. Friends of mine and I are interested in what caused the sinkhole, and there's some witches outside the city that seem to indicate information about it. I didn't think this item was responsible, but it's nice to be able to exclude what isn't responsible in order to find what is responsible.
You are standing there as you're talking, and he's kneeling down, and you can see the tablet as he puts his hand on it and the writing on top of it. Make a lore master roll.
Okay.
I don't know how much of lore master you would really need. Like, you could determine properties of artifacts. It doesn't say you have to touch it. But you could read. You might be able to read what's on the surface. Oh, you can read what's on the surface with a 2. You're talking to them, trying to figure out what this tablet is. Like, is it the source of evil that the Queen's Legate really wanted it because it opened up this sinkhole in Thistle Hold, and his hands on the center of the tablet. So, and he's kneeling down, so you're kind of looking, and you have this kind of full view of what's written on the tablet, and it's archaic Symbaroum language, the kingdom that was here, the dynasty that was here before it fell to evil and blackness.
Right.
And you can read that this is the tablet of Sarkamel's prophecy. You see the lettering of it in there, and it talks of the single person ascending to the throne of Symbaroum and remaking the whole of the land, or Davakar and Ambria. And you read Sarkamel's prophecy across that tablet. Even parts of that are kind of obscured by his hand, and you can read that as you're trying to figure out what it is.
Right.
What does Laris do when he understands what he's looking at?
I just kind of gasp, and go, "You guys know what this is, right?"
They kind of look at you and says, "Sure."
Do you really know what this is? I'm assuming Laris has an understanding of Sarkamel's prophecy to a degree.
He's Ordo. I think you can read it, though.
Right.
I don't think he necessarily... So, I do not think that Sarkamel's prophecy is known. I think that Ordo...
Rumored? Is that better?
I think what happens is that you have no idea what Sarkamel's prophecy is at all. You are reading Sarkamel's prophecy for the first time across the tablet. It's not something that's...
It's not like reading a Declaration of Independence where I would know certain phrases would make me think, oh, okay. So then I go, you guys know what this says? I mean, you guys kicked up the hornet's nest, didn't you?
Yeah, they just kind of look at you and they look at each other, and he slaps the top close and puts the thing out, and then he works to push it into the bed. And he looks at you and says, Laris of the Ordo, we are Templars of the church, and the high priest from Templewell has given us a divine mission to recover this artifact and bring it back to Templewell. That is our duty to the land, and Prios, our one light god. It's not important what the artifact says.
Oh.
And he offers you your hand in brotherhood. We have
I'll give him my hand back and say,
Does Laris do anything else?
he just says, that tablet has some dangerous things on it. Not in the sense of like exuding evil, but in the sense that there are people who probably do things to try to get that from you. Just be careful.
Well, it will be safe in Templewell. Laris would probably know Templewell, what Templewell is.
Yeah. Isn't that the headquarters of the
church
Templars specifically?
Yeah,
or is it the church?
Oh, it's essentially like the Vatican.
Okay,
that's what Templewell is. It's its own state. Right. It's its own region. It's ruled by the church.
I couldn't remember if the Black Cloaks and the Curia and the Templars all had different main headquarters. I know Templewell is a big one, but I couldn't remember if it was all three or if it was just a couple.
They do all have
the three.
The Templewell is like the seat of the church.
Okay.
And
right, so that's probably where the Curia is then.
Right. The Black Cloaks,
the priests, basically,
have the Twilight Monastery right in the mountains. Right. But Templewell is like the seat of the church, the main seat of the church, really.
Okay.
All right.
So
do you
just
leave?
Look at them and go. Yeah, I say, gentlemen, be safe, and hopefully your brother shall look over you and offer you his protection.
All right.
And with that, Ferris and I head out.
Okay. What we'll probably do is end here for tonight. Hopefully you like the session. A little bit different at times. I
like the session, but then again, my follower didn't die, so I've got a slightly different takeaway than other people might.
Yeah, and sometimes I forget just how dangerous a character like Bo is. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you could have rolled terrible too. Like rolling a 1 on your vigilant test. I had to give everything to you, and that surely could have turned out bad because she could have doubled up on her choking spores, and she could have put you out. Like if you would have rolled, she could have put you out. Like you would. I mean, it may have been fun to get 4 points for 3 rounds or 4 points for 4 rounds, and see if Bo makes it back to the barracks stumbling and choking on himself to death. But
okay, it's not Bo who had the backstab adept that gets you the bleed, right? Was that the other guy?
Yeah, that was the other guy.
Okay.
Bo, and the shield throw and the fencing sword. Yeah, but I think the 1 on your vigilant and the way I played it was just to give you like advantage and tell you everything that was happening. If you would have failed, that could have went pretty bad, really.
Right.
But,
yeah, her getting 1 extra round of attacks could have been a disastrous change in tempo.
Yeah, I think that was critical to my success, though.
Because she could have hit you with poison and the choking spores. That's her thing. Like she hit you with choking spores and then she hit you with a moderate poison. Now you're taking 1d4 and 1d6 for 1d4, 1d6 rounds, and she just has to dance around you for a while until you die.
Right.
Or not even. All she has to do is like climb. Right. Just get out of your way and let you time out.
But I think that was pretty fun, and Bo's RP. It was a fun Helame part. RPG. I like how you played Helame.
Bo is definitely Captain America. What can you do?
and it wasn't obviously those moments. I have no idea who's it going to affect. They're partly scripted. I know someone's going to get a note that says, "Come meet us. You know something that can kill you." Someone's going to have the assassin hit them. I have no idea if you're going to go after the tablet to begin with, and I have no idea what Laris is going to do. But I had a lot of fun playing that out, even if Laris was in combat. I really like that part of.
Yeah, I like that.
part.
I mean, I was being completely sincere. He really, he did try to drag the guy out of combat and give him a nerve.